There's a reason why we're drawn together here, coming clear. Let's take things one day at a time.
All right.
Beneath the surface, scraping out what's deep inside. Is this the way a new relationship?
First, we're probably gonna get a lot of copyright strikes on YouTube if this song is copyrighted. Yeah. So this might seem weird for me to be playing, but we're in a we don't give a shit day mood shit. Yeah. Take the ball back. Take your ball back. So today is as I learned on Facebook, the 3rd year of the day my husband and I broke up. Ex-husband, mind you. And I've been single since. So, in celebration, we're doing a give no shits day, basically. So I kind of just like played around with my makeup so it kind of looks bad, so just ignore it. And we're gonna play C14 Dating, which is a dating simulator, because... And then... well, hi! No, I don't need anyone in my life. I have a you. Don't I? I have a you. But they don't. So anyway. Would you like to turn off minigames? You'll be unable to complete your journal. We'll leave minigames on. I've never played before. You can use an alternate font and dialogue look if you do not like the current. Or make your choice and choose start. Oh, okay. What's the alternative? Oh, I like the alternative better. Makes it a little easier for my horrible sight. I'm not throwing the ball in the recording studio, baby. Things will break. Like those expensive cameras? And yeah. Hi. Hello. Alright. Ah, is this it? I glanced at the map, which highlighted road names along with a star next to my destination. After comparing, I came to the conclusion that this wasn't the place, but I was close. The village, Greens, was clustered by the Muse River. I don't know if this is supposed to be Japanese or not, to be fair. There's like one hair just sitting in front of my eyes. And I paused to admire the pretty gardens surrounding the houses. Is there glitter on my nose? I was oddly calm, despite being over 5,000 miles from my Californian home. Okay, not Japanese. The reality of being in another country, maybe it is Japanese, reality country had yet to sink in. Up ahead there was a clearing separated from the road by the fence. On the other side, a few tents were stationed behind a 2-story building. I spotted an open chained gate with a billboard in the front of the driveway. It said, Grotto de Calen. Entry. That's the place! A familiar figure stood by the entrance. She was currently talking to a middle-aged man, but when she saw me, she gave me a cheerful wave as I ran up to her. Sherry! With one hand on my bag handle, I exchanged a half-embrace with my professor. I didn't know you already arrived. If you called me, I would have come and picked you up at the train station. You mentioned that the cave wasn't far. A cave? So I wanted to soak in the scenery and enjoy the sights. I'm glad you made it safely. Was it difficult taking the train? Nope. Well, I did try to practice my French. Ah, we're in France! Hey, Justin. Until the person said that he could speak English, he pointed me in the right direction. At least you'll be able to brush up on your French. You'll find it not so different from Spanish. You'll catch on quickly. I groaned inwardly. My Spanish wasn't the most fluent, but I mentioned it in my interview when discussing how I would cope with staying in Belgium without knowing French. Oh, I guess we're in Belgium! I don't know where we are! Is there a Belgium, France? Is that where Belgium is? I don't know. I don't know. Thank you for subscribing. No, Belgium is its own thing. Why are we speaking French? That's what I assumed. And I'm like, why am I speaking French then? I don't know. I glanced around and then turned to Sherry. Where's Paige? Didn't she say she would be arriving earlier today, or was that tomorrow? I got an email from her yesterday saying there was a family emergency. She won't be able to participate this summer. I failed to hide my disappointment. Paige was the other student from my university who planned to attend this field school. We even worked out trips to do every weekend during our stay. I mustered up a weak smile. And she didn't tell you? That's some sort of friend right there. Let's spend weeks beforehand planning our stay and our travel plans. And then I'm going to get to Belgium. Well, apparently I'm going to be speaking French. And she hasn't even talked to me and told me there's an emergency. It's understandable. I can't help if it's family. Then it would just be me. Sherry gestured to the other person present to change the subject. Before I forget, let me introduce you to Professor Augustine Dupont, Chief Archaeologist of Callan Cave. I eagerly extend my hand for a handshake. Everything I heard about Mr. Dupont was from Sherry, and she'd managed that he was a revered Belgian archaeologist. It's an honor to meet you. I'm Melissa Flores, a junior. I look forward to seeing Sherry's students every summer. It's a pleasure to meet you. Mr. Dupont spoke with a heavy French accent, but I had no doubt the trouble I'm not faking a French accent. That would be incredibly racist. Especially because Americans create the most racist sounding accents and we do it for other countries. Have you gone over everything with Sherry? When the students from Liège arrive tonight, they'll get their first lecture before dinner. Yes, I'll attend the lecture though. If I was going to be submerged in the language, I might as well start by hanging out with the local students. Mr. Dupont eyed my suitcase. You know, I get the idea of placing these things in, let's say, foreign countries because romance. But there's no point really. Yeah. Belgium is near Germany, and that's how, yeah. It is its own country. But anyway, don't ignore my history bullshit. I don't know, not history. My geography bullshit. I'm tired, okay? But as I was saying, the idea of like pushing on the language thing so much when we're not actually going to use the language. I have studied a little French, but there's no point because we're not going to be using it. I'm not going to do an accent. So I feel like sometimes it's like, stop. I'm hoping it's only in the beginning that they're pushing that it's, you know, French accents and Frenchness and all that, because there's no point unless they're going to start talking. And there is voice control, so maybe they will. And then I can judge them if they have French accents, because I'm worried we're going to hear the most stereotypical American French accent that we could imagine. It's going to be like Pepe Le Pew going on, and I don't think that's okay. Because of the French guys I've gone out with, yeah, that's not the accent. Anyway. We reached the clearing and I spotted the same tents, most clustered around the perimeter against the bushes and few were closer to the building. Feel free to pick one. These are for the students who don't own their tents or air mattresses or couldn't bring them. The chief archaeologist gave a nod and excused himself. He probably had other matters to attend to before the students arrived. I studied the tents next to the building and thought about my phone, which was still in airplane mode. How's the Wi-Fi here? If you stay in that tent, you might get Wi-Fi. It doesn't extend much here in the back. If you brought a laptop, you can leave it in the laboratory. It's been done before. Everything gets locked up at night, though, for safekeeping. Fair enough. I think I'll keep in touch with my parents. Once you finish, come back to the front and we'll give you a tour. Will we get to see the cave today? It's already locked, so you'll have to wait until morning. And the anticipation builds. Oh, a goodie. I get the yellow one. I thanked her and started unpacking. There was already a mattress, a pillow, and a sleeping bag in there. It only took a few moments to settle in. Done. Grabbing a small storage bag, I zipped my tent and hurried over to the front of the building. Anyway, this is the main entrance. This will take you to the... She opened the door. My eyes widened when I saw display after display. It was a museum. And a remarkably tiny one. After one loop, I was already back to the entrance. I wanted to examine the displays more, but figured I'd have more time later. Sherry and I ascended the stairs by the entrance. This room, it's more of a multi-purpose room. It can be used for lectures, and it's where findings are cleaned if the weather isn't suitable outside. I cradled the storage bag, wondering how to bring up the question. Fortunately, Sherry noticed. Something important in there. The extra insulin I won't be using yet. It needs to avoid extreme temperatures. Is there somewhere safe I can store it? Oh, I'm a diabetic. Oh, that's good. I got a feeling there's going to be some drama later with that. Oh, of course. Thank you for reminding me. Feel free to use the indoor kitchen since it's restricted to staff members. Augustine has granted you access since he knows you're a diabetic. She led me to the back, giving me a chance to store the insulin bottles in the fridge. And to conclude the tour, this is the lab. This is where most of the research takes place. How many students will be here? It varies. There can be as many as 40 or as few as 20. Students from Liège are required to devote at least 4 weeks working at an archaeology site, regardless of their major. Therefore, we may get a lot of music and art students too. The other students should be arriving soon. But how's the jet lag? Not bad so far. A little fatigue, but nothing else. I'm going to be up all night, aren't I? Worst case scenario, I'll give you an extra day to prepare yourself for the dig. You have reviewed the material I've given you, right? Yes, I've looked at it. Is there anything else you'd like to go over? It's been a month since my last lecture. Not really. That's all. I don't really give a shit. Just pointless reading. I think I'm good for now. Great. However, if any questions come up, feel free to ask. We heard activity outside, complete with loud voices and footsteps on the gravel. It sounds like the students from Liège are here. Augustine will start the lecture soon. Huh? No chance to unpack or get ready or anything like that? No, all of the students were given instructions on when to arrive. Punctuality is valued greatly here. He'll lecture now, and the students will settle it in after. I'll be on my way. All right. Some students stood, while others sat on the stone tiles in front of the building. A few leaned against their luggage, but they all formed a semicircle around Augustine. There were about 30 faces. I wondered how the camping grounds would contain them all. They fell silent when Augustine began to speak. Although I pick up keywords such as archaeology, grotte, sediment, much of it was lost to me. He repeated calcaire a lot too. And when I said I speak a little French, if we get any French words, just a warning, I can barely say normal words. Don't expect much of me. It's been a few years since I started studying. I really need to get back into it. Someone slap me and tell me to study my French lessons again, because it is something I want to do. However, his gestures were vibrant, and I sensed the passion behind his voice. It got me excited. Forward to excavating tomorrow. Okay, so it begins. Inquire, game. We should socialize. So Monday, we shall socialize, study, and we'll add my stress up, but it makes sense. Tuesday, we will browse the internet. We will play catch, and we will inquire. On Wednesday, we will study, we will socialize, we will game. On Thursday, we will play rugby, we will inquire, and we will browse the internet. On Friday, we shall socialize, we shall study, and we shall study again, because sometimes you gotta fucking study. And then on weekend, we will explore the town, check our email, and let's dance. Like Sherry said, there was another lecture in the morning, complete with a whiteboard and Augustine demonstrating how to use a trowel. It was all in French, and Sherry was kind enough to translate some key phrases or remind me that I covered this with her before the trip. The students were divided, with one half, me included, to head for the cave, while the other group would stay behind for lab work. The walk to the cave was roughly 10 minutes, passing through a narrow path on the sloped woods. The trickier sections had cement stairs installed along with handles to prevent slipping. When we reached an ordinary-looking shed, Augustine pulled out his keys. However, I realized this was the cave entrance, or at least the artificial part of it. Once you're inside, please spread out so I can explain how to wet screen. He repeated the instructions in French as we filled through one by one. There was a raised counter in the middle of the plastic container suspended on wooden supports. So this is where the wet screening takes place. Looks like it can only fit 2 people at a time. I wonder how often it'll be used. Augustine demonstrated by lowering an empty metal... That was weird. Like the text had an issue on my screen. By lowering an empty metal sieve into a plastic container, grabbing a hose, he mimed washing the screen and rooting through pretend dirt. As much as I tried to pay attention, the language barrier tested my focus, and my eyes started to wander. Stay focused. I did come here to learn, didn't I? French or not, I should show I'm serious about this. He's mentioning photographs a lot. Is someone coming to take pictures? Everyone started to line up after Augustine gestured to each item, which ranged from sacks of buckets to plastic containers full of trowels and bushes. I know me, though. I probably would have drifted off and just been like, oh god, I can't. But that was me in school too. I followed and carried everything in my own bucket, including a sheet of paper encased in a plastic bag. Oh, that's a pretty cave. The real entrance to the cave opened, leading to a narrow industrial catwalk suspended over the abyss. Once I walked through, the temperature dropped to a cold chill, and I zipped up my hoodie. At least they changed clothes. Or colors. Augustine directed students to various locations while Sherry carefully slipped by and I followed. The cave opened up farther and numerous stalactites and stalagmites everywhere. The catwalk railing disappeared where the ladders connected it or when it branched off into segments of the cave. Sherry, where will I dig? Sherry leaned over the railing and pointed to one of the deeper parts. You'll be digging here. It's a 125,000-year-old layer, the very same one where they discovered the Neanderthal mandible. Neanderthal? Is that how you say it? I know there's Neanderthal, but that seems like... is that how it's spelled, I guess is the question? And I've just... Look this up for me, Justin. Is that how you spell Neanderthal? And no, I didn't get to pick anything about her. What? I'll be digging in such an important place already? Despite my nerves, I felt giddy inside. Sherry climbed down the ladder and I trailed behind her. At the bottom of the ladder was another catwalk positioned exactly in the middle. Now that my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I noticed there were strings and cords hung everywhere in specific patterns with notes nailed into the soil. Sherry brought me to the end of the catwalk where there was yet another ladder, but this time much shorter. You'll be digging on the right side here. Here was a rather cozy-looking pit. A perfectly dug-out square. 2 to 3 people could probably move around freely in the space. It was almost right under the main catwalk higher up, too. This is your... carré? D32. Carrés? Yeah, carré? D32. Carré? D32? It means square. Everything is separated into a grid system. I'm going to look this up really quick. I want to say it right. Translator. Look, I'm trying to make sure I don't completely fall out of this game. Do 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 do. Hold on. It says it, yeah, so edge. Ka. That would be, hold on, here we go. Let me do this one. Hold on. Here we go. Let me get it with the actual accent just so I'm not like completely. And not like the actual, I meant like the, you know what I mean. Not, yeah. Yeah, carré. Okay. So, carré. It's carré, basically. Not carré, carré. Everything is separated into grids, starting from the entrance of the cave, the uppermost left to right. It goes A1, B1, and so forth. So I must be C14. Okay, but she was talking about a mandible found. A Neanderthal mandible. But it said it looked like it spelled Neanderthal and not, I don't know, maybe I just don't know how to spell things. That makes sense. It explains all the lines dangling from the ceiling, too. They're for measuring. Correct. Shall we take a closer look? The photographs for this row should be done already. I'll be right back. You go ahead and set your items down. She retreated back while I placed the bucket next to the shorter ladder. I descended, then grabbed the tools before I hopped off the last step. The layers I'd be working on was mostly dirt, with the layer I would be working on was mostly dirt, with the odd large rocks sticking out here or there. It'd be easy digging. By the time Sherry returned, I already had my knee pads out and the piece of paper next to me. Here we are. A picture of your square. She handed it to me. I could tell it was printed off the highest resolution possible, fully inked and glossy. What do we use the photograph for? First thing first, we distinguish each layer and outline it on the photograph. Once Augustine or myself check it over, you can go ahead and start excavating. This picture is an This picture is an irreplaceable reference, and you'll find yourself relying on it often. Please don't lose it or get it tarnished. Sadly, Augustine is short-staffed at the moment. I'll be helping the other students since most are new to this. If there's anything, is there anything you'd like to go over? So, what do I do once I find a Neanderthal tooth? Is it also Neanderthal? Hold on. Neanderthal. Yeah, Neanderthal. So Neanderthal, I think it is, because I just wrote it in. I must be just. Yeah, it's Neanderthal. But this says tall, not so. It's not because it's missing the H. So it's either got a spelling error, which very likely, or yeah. So we're going to Neanderthal. I'm just going to say it Neanderthal because that's what it says. First, don't pluck it out like some amateur archaeologist. You'll lose the context. Measure it before you remove it, number it, and then carefully wrap it in the foil. There will be a plastic bag you can use to store all the findings. How do you number the findings? Just by the order you find it in, 1, 2, or 3. Jot it down on a piece of paper and stick it in the tin foil as well so I won't get lost. When you finish excavating the entire layer, seal everything found into a plastic bag along with the complete fiche. Believe me, you'll feel relieved to finally finish the layer. I think I got it. I'm good, Sherry. Wonderful, I'll give you some time to get familiar with your square. If you're struggling, remember you can adjust the heat lamps. Also, the photographer's contrast has been altered to help it distinguish the sedimentary layers easily. I'll be back shortly. I glanced down at the photograph before comparing it to the vertical wall in front of me. No matter how closely I looked, everything was brown. Brown, and more brown. How am I supposed to tell the difference of this brown layer from that brown layer? Not deterred, I picked up a pencil and began marking the more distinct sediments. Eventually it became less solid brown, and I could see reds and faint yellows within the soil. I was so focused that I barely registered that I was not alone anymore. A tall student stood by with the square next to mine, already engaged in identifying the sediments. I paid him no heed until I became stumped on whether I was looking at one layer or two. Quietly peering at his profile, he seemed rather familiar with the system. I guess it wouldn't hurt to ask him, or at least try to communicate. Can I get your opinion on something? Hello? Bonjour? Still no reaction. I reached out and gave him a gentle tap on the shoulder. Whoa. The touch jolted him so abruptly that I retracted my hand. He whirled around and then glared at me. I'm not even gonna do it. You should be able to... I don't want to skip it. I just want to... Sorry, I don't speak French. No parle. Non parle. No parle. He placed his photograph on the top of his square. Did you need something? Yeah, actually, I'm trying to figure out this layer. I can't tell if this is one. Oops. I gently trace the soil and then pretend to pinch the air to give an idea of width. I'm not even going to try. Or two, it seems reddish on top. I'm actually on autoplay right now, so I'm going to try to figure out how to... He grabbed the trowel, giving the vibe of a serious... No, it's nonsense. Okay, hold on. Okay, there we go. He grabbed his trowel, giving the vibe of a serious and nonsense person. Once I shoveled out of the way, he examined the area I'd indicated. Why did it say there was going to be voices? I don't hear voices. 2. The stratum is more red, as you said, but gradually disappears around here. He etched a small line to mark the ending. I blinked as I recognized the differences, then nodded gratefully. Thanks so much. I mean, I sort of figured, but I wasn't sure either. It's nice to get a second opinion. I gave him a cheerful smile, but he remained impassive. He even seemed baffled when I reached out to initiate a proper handshake. I'm Melissa. I'm the only foreign student here, if it wasn't obvious already with my language skills. Reluctantly, he switched the trowel to his left hand and we gave a solid shake before letting go. Kyler. And that was it. With nothing else to work with from his introduction, I decided to bring up his skills. I'm guessing you're inspiring to be an archaeologist? You appear to know what you're doing. He returned to his side of the square and knelt down, grabbing his photograph. Yes, this is my 4th time here, so I'm acquainted with the subject. And you, especially since you're not from around here? Well... Of course, I did come all the way from California to experience this firsthand. I also love the idea of working on such old archaeological sites. I'm surprised they assigned me to excavate a 125,000-year-old layer. I looked upward. It did seem most students got the upper strata to work with instead. They tend to do that for students who are interested in the subject. I'll do my best then. Can't waste this opportunity. Most students that excavate here picked it as an elective and aren't that invested in archaeology at all. It's nice to see there are still fellow keen students coming. Since we're excavating next to each other, that makes us square mates. Or would that be carré mates? Either way, I look forward to working alongside with you. He looked confused, but simply gave a mechanical nod. He did muster up a smile, though. Right, likewise. Even his last words felt artificial, and I lost him to his little world of microstratigraphy. I guess he values his concentration. I mentally reminded myself to bring my earbuds for next time. I had a feeling we wouldn't be making much small talk outside the excavations. The rest of the day was pretty eventful. It was mostly a long wait for my photograph to be approved by Sherry, and then I got hit by jet lag. Despite my worry, Sherry said she would not deduct marks if I napped until dinner, although she did scold me for forgetting my journal. Oh, there was an error on my player. I have reloaded it. I scanned the tables and maneuvered to where Sherry sat. I scooted to a spot on the bench and silently started my meal. After a few bites, I poked at the pasta dejectedly and sighed. Now I really wish Paige was here, and we promised to do so many things together, too. I glanced up hopefully at Sherry. I felt bad, but she was the only oasis in this unfamiliar place, and I clung to it. Not only that, aside from Kyler, none of the students greeted me or even tried to converse with me. I guess it was obvious that I didn't attend the same university. Will I fit in? The question was more to myself, but Sherry overheard. Worried, the students here can be reserved, but I'm sure there will be a few brave ones who would like to practice their English with you. They're probably too focused from the lectures and tasks right now. True. I'm sure once we're all used to the routine here, I'll have more chances to mingle. I ate with gusto, feeling confident now. When I finished, Sherry glanced at my empty plate. Here, I'll take that for you. Try to get some rest. Concern cheered me up, and I chided myself for feeling anxious when I had barely arrived. I retreated to my tent. As I settled down, contemplating about tomorrow, a musical tune disrupted the quiet night. It was quietly silenced, but I knew the catchy introduction theme to Ishitara anywhere. I grabbed my 4SX. No, I didn't leave my system on or anything. Was someone else playing? I might as well play some Ishitara. A little grinding will do me some good. I booted up the game, and the first notes of the theme song blared loudly. I had forgotten that my earbuds weren't hooked up to the handheld. I slid the volume down, hoping it didn't startle anyone. The low spirits I felt earlier today melted away to the warm colors of the game. Alright. We are gonna socialize now? What are we doing? Failed. Failed. How did I fail? I didn't even get to do it! Dawn of the third day. Am I supposed to guess what I'm doing? And I'm enjoying a pleasant jog early in the morning. Since I don't know much about Koreans, I stuck to the familiar paths between the train station and the museum. The end. You fail. You fail at life. You fail at love. Go die in a hole. When I returned, I saw people mingling in the open canopy. That meant there was enough time to eat breakfast before the trek to the cave. I swung a leg over the bench and settled into my seat. After pouring myself some apple juice, I grabbed an orange and began peeling it. Did you have a nice jog? Startled by an unfamiliar accent, I glanced upward, greeted by a friendly face. I did. It was a short one, though, since I didn't want to risk getting lost just yet. I don't know the area well enough. The roads can be pretty windy, too. You think you're heading east, and somehow you end up going north. Oh yeah, I noticed the streets aren't all clearly marked. The names are mostly on buildings. Speaking of names, I'm Melissa. Pleased to meet you. I extended an arm, and he accepted my handshake. DeAndre. Enchante. Wait, you're from around here? It's just... Your accent isn't French when you speak in English. Did you learn it from somewhere? I studied abroad in New Zealand for a few years and picked up their manner of speech. That makes sense. Well, it sounds lovely. It's a charming accent. Seriously. Sweet as. I was concerned I'd be hard to understand considering it's not my first language. Glad that's not the case. I'm grateful that you took the chance. For a while it seemed no one wanted to talk to me. I worried if I was somehow unapproachable. Not at all. Many people here are shy in the beginning, but they warm up quickly. We were actually intimidated by your presence at first. Me? Well, although you were some high school prodigy... I thought you were some high school prodigy archaeologist since you had obviously flown in from another country. Me, a prodigy? Oh, no, I'm just a regular university student working on our anthropology major. And I don't look like a high schooler. First year? No, second year. Well, I guess technically third. You? Fourth. I've sort of fallen behind on electives, so summer one seemed the easiest. We noticed a few students getting up and bringing their dishes to the outdoor wash area. DeAndre reached into his back pocket, then pulled out a phone. He glanced at the display. Speaking of which, if we'd like to pass, we should start heading out soon. Cave or lab? Right now, I'm on dishwasher duty, but I'll be working in the lab afterwards. They're still getting around to approving people's photographs, including mine. Again, thanks for talking to me. I appreciated it. It's no problem. I know what it's like to be in a new country and away from your folks. Once we finished breakfast, we stood up. Now, if I had to pick between just these two guys, this guy would win, because I'm not really into the cold demeanor of the first guy. And he's just kind of cuter. But probably because he is nicer. We momentarily gazed at each other in surprise because they stood up at the same time. He was much taller than I had expected, near Kyler's height. Now that I think about it, most, if not all, of the students were easily a few inches taller than me or more. Well, I don't know how tall you are, darling. Tell me how tall you are. Geometry hammered a fist into his flat palm excitedly. Oh, that was the other reason why we thought you were a high school student. Hey, I'm only slightly below average height at home. So she's probably like 5'3", 5'4". Because average height is about 5'5" for a woman. DeAndre grinned in amusement. When we left the canopy, I spotted a middle-aged woman frantically asking students something in French. What's going on? Helena, the receptionist here, is looking for volunteers, but it hasn't been easy. I offered to cook all week, but it's not a one-person job. I have a partner for today, but any past that. Sherry did encourage me to participate, more like I would be marked on my helpfulness outside of archaeology, too. Sure. I can volunteer for tomorrow. Would you really? Okay, I feel like this is something I gotta look. He's gonna be saying that a lot. Is it? I don't want to say sweet ass on mistake. I'm sure it's just sweet as, but if it's not, if it's something else, I don't want to be like saying it wrong. So it means thank you in New Zealand, apparently. I'm gonna learn things in this game, if nothing else. So it's like, yeah, so sweet as. It means cool, right, agreed. So basically, we're just gonna assume or go with okay. What do they speak in New Zealand? Maori? I don't know, so sweet as. Yeah, that's what I'm noticing too, but I like just sweet as, so it's either part of the other languages they speak, or it's just sweet as, and that's like slang. He said it again. Now I'm curious. Oh, shit! You sweet as what? Oh, it's Kiwi slang for awesome fighter. Okay, fuck me. I tried to do the research myself. I didn't think they'd actually cover this. My mistake. Mr. Carrot, come look cute. Anything positive? I see. Then can you let Helena know that I'll sign up for tomorrow? Sure can do. Thanks. I'm glad my photograph... Also, why I hate dating simulators. They make life and conversation seem so easy. No, it's not. I'm glad my photograph got approved. Now I can finally start digging. So where do I start? From the top? Right, you start at the top and work your way back 25 centimeters. Then you proceed downward until you finish the last layer. Some people prefer digging back a few centimeters, then work their way down. Either way, as long as you're making progress. I was prepared. I just want to make sure it was sweet as and not. And the only reason I wanted to look is because it had the hyphen in there, and that made me wonder. Okay, is it actually pronounced sweet as, or is it pronounced another way because maybe it's, French, German, or does New Zealand speak? I know New Zealand mostly speaks English, but they do have other languages they can speak there. So I was just like, let me check. Either way, as long as you're making progress. For now, we have to remove the coche de merde. I told you, I can't. 3 years ago, I might have been able to figure some of these words out a little easier because I wouldn't be thinking about it because I remembered how the letters sounded, but yeah, not right now. Using her trowel, she etched a line near the top of the square. The dirt at the very top was hard and compact, with footprints all over it. All this is out of context now. People have trampled on it, and it's been exposed to the air for so long that it's better just to remove it all. Coche de merde? Wait, it sounds similar to mierda. Therefore, exactly, it's the layer. It's the layer of crap. To phrase it mildly. Just dig back 25 centimeters and a few down. Then it comes to this layer. It'll make working much easier. You'll still need a document for this, but you don't have to worry about the details. At least this will give me a chance to sharpen my excavating skills. I discreetly glanced in Kyler's direction. He must have been super diligent since he had already stripped his layer away. Hesitantly, I took the bigger trowel and started scraping. Amazed by the resistance, I had to apply more force to make a dent. Let me give you some tips. Now, before we dig, we should first remove the top layer. It's been treaded on, and the soil is now mixed and distributed. You can see how the dark and compact it is compared to the lighter, pristine sediment beneath it. Not only that, it's hard to dig through all the clumpy. Already testing it out. Someone's eager. Remember, you only need to remove a few centimeters worth. Try it out. Note the top 5 beside it. This means 5 cells must be chiseled back out in an uninterrupted sequence. Since this is 5, you can clear the full row. Just like this? Perfect! A clean line. Make sure you don't remove too much, or you might be digging into the sediment you'll be recording. Is there a way to prevent that? I mean, I can easily distinguish these 2 layers, but I'm sure it won't always be obvious. You can use the tip of your trowel. There's going to be mini games. There's going to be mini games in this. I chose to play the mini games because I've never played this before, and I can't finish my journal if I don't. Boo. You can use the tip of your trowel to etch into the sediment. It helps to separate the stratigraphy, so you don't have shit. Like, my brain knows how to say that, but my mouth is not agreeing with me. Wow, okay. Oh, it probably is. So I edit it, and then I have to, like, refresh. Fucking A. C14. And when I load it up on there, it needs, yeah. This is why we're getting confused. People going, this is not Conarium. What is going on here, bitch? There we go. Oh, now it's failing. Hold on. There we go. Okay, we're better. It's some weird glitch. It only started recently, though. Okay. Stratigraphy. Stratigraphy. God damn it, I don't know. Excuse me, Iris, I need my headphone from you because Mom's trying to figure out words. Stratigraphy. Thank you! I don't know why Truffy was getting me there. Stratigraphy. Stratigraphy. Stratigraphy? I don't know. I want to say it wrong. So you don't have to constantly check to make sure you haven't dug into a new layer. I'll try it here as a practice run. Thatch tool. Great. Now there's a 0 beside the row. That means no cells need to be chiseled. Blacked out. You can leave it as is. It looks like the top layer ends here. I agree. Now you know how much left you need to clear. Here I go. I etched. Hold on. That's perfect. The Quash de Miro has now been stripped away, revealing the pristine sediment underneath. Note that the top columns are all marked with 2, which means each column had 2 cells that needed to be filled in. Since you filled out both rows marked 5, all the requirements have been completed. That doesn't make sense. If you use check, it will tell you if you correctly chiseled the cells. In the future, you can also use skip to pass the puzzles you can't solve. Use check to move. It looks like I've completed everything. Now I feel like a real archaeologist. That's wonderful. I'll be helping the other students out, but if you're stuck, don't hesitate to ask for my assistance. If you're unsure of a row or column in the future, use the numbers at the top sides, on the sides or top. The corresponding row of columns will be correctly filled out for you. Oh. Careful though, if your stress levels are 2, you won't get as many hints. Okay. Does that make sense so far? I think so. No, it doesn't. Hey, Cord. I think so? It doesn't. Here, I'll show you a little more. Now that Coach Dimmer is gone, I can finally start digging, right? You sound eager, but your hand is shaking. Are you feeling okay? I'm good, just a little nervous since this is a 120,000-year-old square, 125 I think it was. I'm worried I might accidentally throw something of extreme value away. As long as you stay aware and don't dig through the sediment carelessly. We use microstratigraphic approaches which require high spatial control. Why don't you point out the sediments? Oh, dig a little into this one. The separation is unmistakable. Everything still looks brown to me, but here I go. The row requires 2 sequences of 2 cells each. You can't chisel them together, or you'd have 4. Okay. Okay. This is a 5x5 grid, so there's only one piece a blank cell can be. Wait. What? No, I'm etching. Hold on. I don't get it. Two. I don't get this. This means there needs to be at least one unchiseled blank cell between them. Okay, there we go. There. How does it look? Okay, 2, 3. Okay, I think I might just picked it up. Maybe. Perfect. The sediment is the 2AL layer. This is alluvial disposition. There's no adjoining cells to be filled. You can etch the cells around it. Now, what remains? The column still requires 2 cells to be chiseled. Go ahead. Good job. See if you can complete the rest and use check whenever you think you're done. Oh god. Try continuing from the 4th row. You can always use hints by selecting numbers. Okay, so 3 to 1. Try continuing from the 4th row. It's like Minesweeper, isn't it? 3 to 1. So if that's 2 and 2. I don't get it. They didn't really explain this well. Or I'm just dumb, and I mean, that could be it too. It totally could be it. I don't get it. How do I get a hint? But that is how I did it. You said that was wrong. What? None of that makes sense. Okay, so you can't dig up next to the ones you've already dug near? But I did it on the first one, so that wouldn't make sense. I didn't mean to do that. No, I said I want to. Well, this makes sense to everyone else because it doesn't make sense to me. Like, my brain is trying to do this, and it's like, okay, so 0 is, no, 3, the 2 to 2, okay, that made sense, have a gap. I'm just supposed to guess what the 1 is? Unless I'm, like, supposed to, like, do that, 1 to 0, but that wouldn't... 3 to 1. 1 to 1. It doesn't... I don't get it! Because even it's like 1 to 2. So... It makes no goddamn sense. I'm sure when I get it, I'll be like, this is so easy, but right now it makes no goddamn sense. Because that one, I get it. Okay, 2, gap, 2. Fine. 0, got it. 1. How am I supposed to know where I picked that one, though? I think I figured it out where all the sediments are, Sherry. No, you didn't, bitch. Great, do you still have your photograph? You can fix up some of the pencil lines you put down there. Usually you need to have your photograph approved by one of the staff members, but since we're short-handed, I'll be overseeing the photograph submissions as well. I agree with the structure you marked down. You can outline the pencil with a permanent marker and start digging from the top once you're done. Thanks, Sherry. I was trying and it didn't make sense. I don't know how to do the cross-reference. I'm not that smart. I'm not smart, Smurfs. While you work on that, I have a quick question. Did you bring your journal? I didn't forget this time. Wonderful. Also, have you talked to Helena already? She's the receptionist here and oversees the volunteers for cooking and cleaning duties. Huh? As you recall, I expect you to volunteer since it'll be for marks too. Already got that covered. I volunteered myself for tomorrow. I'm glad to hear that. I was worried since she doesn't speak English and you didn't ask me for help. It's wonderful to see you get involved from the very beginning. I'd like to do my share, marks or not. I'll let you finish your first task. I'll mostly be helping other students here. Give a holler if you have any inquiries. I personally want you to get used to digging in the cave first before you transfer to the lab. Next week you can decide which one you'd like to focus on. Generally, the students spend 1 week in the cave, 1 week in the lab, then alternate. However, I think flexibility is very important, so I'll let you plan your days. Sounds good. I don't get cross-referencing. Someone help me. With the conversation finished, Sherry climbed the ladder, leaving me with a remote Kyler. Jeez, he digs so fast. He does have experience, though, but I wonder if I can even rely on him. So much for the square mate thing. Pulling the earbuds out of my pocket, I inserted them and turned on my music. Now let's tackle this mucky layer. Failed. Yay. I succeeded at nothing. Heavy, heavy, way too heavy. Why did I think it was a good idea to fill it to the top? Not only that, I had to climb 2 ladders. Gripping the bucket handle with both hands, I managed to trudge towards the wet screening area. Luckily, one space was free. I set down the bucket, then placed the screen over the container suspended above the tub of water. I tried hoisting the bucket, only to find it was too short for this. I was too short for this task. I kicked futilely at the cement block until I realized it was faster to grab it and drag it next to the tub. Stepping on the block, I unceremoniously dumped half the bucket's contents, trying not to overdo it. Once I had my label cup next to me, I grabbed a hose and drenched the compacted soil, using my free hand to break up the globs. While I sifted through the items, I glanced at the person across from me. He tentatively poked through the wet screen, unable to determine if any of the objects were rubbish or worth dropping into the cup. His arms obscured his hoodie design, although it seemed vaguely familiar to me. I watched him, and he happened to look up, meeting my eyes. Bonjour. Sorry, I can't speak French, so I'm not even sure if you can understand me. I didn't mean to blurt that out, but he averted his eyes briefly. For a moment, I thought he didn't understand English and didn't know how to respond. Hello. You speak English? Yes, I think I'm pretty fluent with it. Sweet! It's always nice to know I can talk to more people here. I'm not confident with my French at all, let alone Spanish. I chuckled while I waited for a reply. However, he meekly nodded, then glanced down at the wet screening. Total opposite of Andre. Guess he's not big on conversation. Music is great, but I spent all morning beside super sociable Kyler. I need small talk, darn it. First time here as well? Yes, I don't know much about archaeology, so this is all new to me. It's a lot to take in. My head is spinning from all the info dumped on me in the past few days. Hopefully all my worries will pass whether I can do this or not. I can enjoy the experience. Are you nervous too? A bit. For someone being thoughtful on how to answer, it was barely a complete sentence. I need another angle. What could I say? It was going to be a general statement, but then I got a clear look at what he was wearing. Oh, wait, no way. Some of the design was still hidden by his arm, but I recognized that logo anywhere. Oh my gosh! I love your Chronicles of Seldia hoodie. It's based on 20 masks, right? You've played them before? It was practically my childhood. I loved the series, and it was my favorite one. Really, mine too. I've always appreciated the darker direction the series took with it. Yeah, I loved the mysterious, spooky vibe they had going. My favorite part was learning about the world through the side quests. I'm guessing you completed the Lover's Quest. What did you think of that one? Loved it. It was really sad, and I felt guilty I couldn't reunite them every time. I wonder what they're talking about. I think I shed more tears over that than the actual ending. The NPC schedules were super detailed. I'd end up following each character. I agree, the main tower felt livelier for it, and I liked how your choices could influence the characters too. I'm Shoji. He's Japanese. He eagerly extended his arm, and I flinched from the unanticipated gesture. Seeing my startled reaction, he hastily withdrew his hand and averted his eyes. Sorry. No worries, I just didn't expect it. Here. I initiated the handshake this time and realized how gritty and wet our hands were. He seemed to be aware of it too, and we exchanged an apologetic look followed by a laugh. My bad. Should have wiped my hands first. Not the best of handshakes there. It's fine. Burst of zeal he displayed. Oh, zeal! Yay, someone used zeal. The burst of zeal he displayed when he gushed over games had quickly mellowed out. We released each other's hands, and he silently returned to his wet screening. I did the same. Sometimes I'd glance up and sense he had more to say, but did not articulate them. I already forced enough conversation out of him for now. When he was done, Shoji tipped over the screen, dumping all of the rubble, which disappeared with the water below. After Shoji picked up his empty bucket, he lingered by the catwalk for a moment before returning to me. I'll see you around, He trailed off, and then it hit me that I hadn't even said my name yet. Oh, it's Melissa! Right, pleased to meet you, Melissa. Likewise, see you later, Shoji. He gave me a grateful nod before disappearing into the cave. I might as well finish up, too. Hey. Once I had finished preparing the plates and cutlery, I returned to the kitchen. DeAndre stewed soup in a giant pot resting over a single burning stove. I'd quickly learned that lunch always consisted of sandwiches, ingredients, along with serving of soup. Whatever the fuck I just said. Finished setting up the tables. Thanks, Mel. I'm still grateful that you volunteered and all. It's no problem. Glad to help. He tapped the top of the pot with a stirring spoon to get the liquid off. Do you cook often? You seem rather skilled. I don't know if stirring soup is considered skill. At least you seem to know what you're doing. I've been cooking seriously since first year of university, perhaps? I mean, before I could do the basic prep or throw frozen meals into a microwave. Once I moved to New Zealand, I sort of picked up cooking while living in the dorms. Eating out is pretty expensive, and I need to keep a strict diet. Strict diet? I'm guessing you work out or participate in sports? You ain't wrong. The training and weightlifting are part of my regimen. I'm a rugby player. Oh, that's neat. What position do you usually play? I'm a lock. I'm guessing you don't know much about union rugby. Not really, sorry. I know it's similar to football, or American football, but without the padding. Basically the lock provide the power and heights. Break through defenses, jump high in line-outs, and sounds like every position? I lost you again, didn't I? At line-out. What's a line-out? Well, let's start with lock. Anyway, locks have to get the ball at whatever cost. He extended his arms, pretending to reach for me, and made a primitive grunt. Rawr. Aggressive. Must get possession of ball. Well, not as aggressive as flankers. He never wanted to be tackled by those. You never want to be tackled by those. I giggled, decided not to ask what a flanker was either, and gently shifted the topic. Where did you learn to play rugby? Well, I grew up always playing it, even joined a local rugby club, but moved to New Zealand to hone my skills even further. Out of all the countries in the world, why New Zealand? If I recall, you went there to study, right? How is that related to rugby? I went there because one of the universities in Wellington offered a program that combined its rugby culture with education. He grinned like a child, reminiscing about their Christmas presents. I got to enroll there for a few trimesters, along with free tickets to elite games and a gym membership to where the top-notch rugby players trained. Not only that, I got to participate in their practice sessions. I learned lots down there. It was a pretty sweet as. It was expensive, though, and my visa expired. I guess it was inevitable, though. And now I'm finishing up my degree in Liège. What degree are you working on? English. It all sounds pretty heavy-duty. How do you balance out both rugby and your English degree? You're not just focusing on your rugby career? As much as I love rugby, too much can happen in the field. I notice his eyes are not white. Why is his eyes skin tone? One traumatic or hard-hitting injury and your career's over, even with the best I thought I said psycho. Physio, you may not play as well as you did before. I figured if something were to happen, I could always teach English as a foreign language to fellow. The pot bubbled and DeAndre softly cursed. He grabbed the spoon and stirred again to prevent the ingredients from settling on the bottom. Nearly forgot about this. Guess time does fly when you're having a conversation. What's the time? I checked my phone display. About time for students to eat. I'll get the cold cuts and drinks out now. Thanks, the soup looks about ready. He turned off the burner and we focused on organizing lunch. Against DeAndre as he happily hollered to the students coming down the stairs from the forest trail. Sounds like he figured things out. Now I gotta focus on what I'd like to do. Yay. Yay! I didn't game though. I did, I guess. Oh, yay. Yay. I'm succeeding somewhere in my life. It's starting to sound rowdy over there. I could hear the hollering and cheering over the video game music. A large silhouette appeared near my tent, and I yanked out my earbuds. Mel, are you around? Over here, I'm in the yellow tent. He gave the tent flaps a knock, rattling the fabric. I zipped it open and poked my head out. Something up? I thought you'd rather socialize than hole yourself up in your tent. Want to break some language barriers? He held out a raspberry-flavored beer bottle and swayed it before me. Oh, I love raspberry beer. Okay, I'm dating this guy. He's got my beer too. Although by the end we'll all be incoherent anyway. Ah yes, drinking, a universal pastime. Should I join in? I'll join. Are there any non-alcoholic drinks available? Johnny held the bottle close as he tried to recall. There's orange juice and cola, I think. If there's Diet Cola, that'd be great. Diet, got it. I'll meet you by the campfire. I'll take it easy tonight. I'm sure it'll be fun. Oh, I wish I had a beer after all. I could use the extra courage. I glanced around the crowd and took a tiny sip of my drink. John Dre had wandered off somewhere, being the social butterfly he was, and I felt like I lost my connecting link to everyone. Usually I socialized just fine, even in a room full of strangers, but the language barrier isolated me. Is this how a wallflower feels? I exhaled wearily, wondering if I should retire for the night. When I looked up, I noticed a girl standing by herself. She glanced around before fiddling with her nails. Was she waiting for someone, or felt left out too? She's cute. It can't hurt to say hi, right? I approached her from the side, then stood a little ways from her. When we made eye contact, I gave a friendly wave, and she smiled back. Hello, je ne parle pas français. Et toi? Et toi? She grinned and pointed at herself, and the mistake dawned on me. I messed up already. Et tu, et toi, what? I combed my fingers through my hair and then shook my head dramatically. As embarrassing it was easier to laugh it off, and the girl giggled. I speak French very little. I speak English well. I can see. After exchanging a laugh, I offered my hand, and she accepted warmly. Et tu, et toi? I'm Melissa. Joanne. You're from America? Yes, I'm from the States. I hope you like Belgium. Very small country, not like States. I like it a lot, it's beautiful. I'm glad. Our chat was short, if slightly clumsy due to the language barrier, but Joanne was patient and we enjoyed the interaction. She perked up when she heard someone calling for her, and she gave me a little nod before excusing herself. That wasn't so bad. I really need to work on my French, though. I should get some sleep. I made it to the tent area when I heard a loud smack, followed by gas and roaring laughter. It was coming from the other side of the building, and I muffled a yawn. Sounds like they're having fun, but I don't want to be too tired to dig tomorrow. I sat at the table munching on a piece of toast. It was pretty packed, and as usual, I was located near the end while the livelier conversation took place in the middle. Morning. Slept well, I hope. I did, surprisingly. You guys were pretty loud. I think most of us retired around 1 a.m. The rowdier ones partied until 4. They will have a hard time focusing on the cave today. I can imagine. Oh, speaking of cave, I finally will be working in the cave. Nice! Were you waiting on your photograph? I don't... Yep, some squares had to have their pictures retaken for better resolution. I may or might not work in the lab longer, though. Mr. DuPont will be hurrying to approve other students' pictures, too. You could always ask Sherry. I think she has some authority here, too. Sherry? Sherry Keller, my professor. Of course, Americans address teachers by their name. No, we don't. We do not address our teachers by their first names, unless they're cool teachers. Like Frank. And the other teachers at my massage school. In my massage school we did. But massage school's much more relaxed. Everywhere else, it's usually sir or professor. It's not ma'am. It's not, no. That's my experience. I don't know if you guys have had different experience where you have teachers that all just let you call them by their first name. Is it different here? Really different. In fact, I think some students mistook Sherry for your grandma. A professor overseeing their students in an elective, unheard of. No one calls their teachers by their first name, and it's always strictly formal. If you want to talk to your professor, it's by appointment only. Huh. I wonder how I'd do in an environment like that. That's one thing I missed about New Zealand. It wasn't as rigid, and I'd gotten so used to it, I practically had a reverse culture shock coming back. There's a lot of things I miss in New Zealand. Planning on returning one day. You bet. Eventually I started saving up recently. Travel is darn expensive. He laughed at my nod of agreement. The plane tickets here alone had cleaned out my savings. Everything else was from begging my parents to fund me for this trip. Check the time. I chewed the last of my toast, gulped down the water. I'll see you at the cave then. I didn't use socialize. I suck at study. Study more. Damn. I'm stupid. Are you sure you'll be fine alone? Yeah, my parents got all concerned when they learned I no longer have a traveling partner. I was strongly advised not to go off on my own since it's my first time being this far from home. Although I tried to be nonchalant about it, my sulkiness still surfaced. It's probably for the best. However, I'm sure you'll make more friends and be able to venture out more. If you'd like, I can ask some of the students to see if they're interested in hosting you on the weekends. Me? I'd hate to impose. I know you're reluctant, but it would be nice to spend time with students outside the dig site. True, and see more of Belgium, too. It's a shame Paige couldn't make it. Where are you staying, anyway? Oh, at a colleague's. I've known him and his husband. Oh. Good for you, Gabe. I would bring you along, but it's a small house, and she trailed off, and I nodded understandingly. I didn't want to impose on her catch-up time with friends. Will the museum be completely locked up once Augustine leaves? Everything's safe for the back entrance so you can access it. You can lock it up from the inside at night. I imagine you'll be sleeping on the second floor? Yes, Augustine already set up an air mattress for me, and I moved some of my belongings. I think we've gone over it then. There's leftovers in the fridge, and the Wi-Fi will remain on. I heard the laboratory door opening and closing, and Augustine flashed me a warm smile. All of the students had left for home for the weekend, and it was just us three, soon to be one, now that they were ready to depart. Melissa, I assume Sherry has gone over everything. Yes. Wonderful. Although this is the first time in many years someone had remained here alone, there was an ominous yet playful smirk I could not help but be aware. Why? They are scared of the wrath of the Neanderthal whose bones were found. I think I'll survive these 48 hours, Augustine. What a brave girl. I hear it gets very eerie at night. We exchanged goodbyes and I heard the click of the front door being locked. When I got very quiet, I pushed the thought of ghosts out of my head. I have a whole museum to myself. I bet not many people can say that. Huh. The lights are on. Is someone here? What's all this? There were multiple wooden trays laid out on the center table. Each contained various rock samples along with paper slips labeled under each one. I approached and peered at the trays. Calcaire, the schist. Good, I don't know. Were they studying something, or would this be part of another upcoming lecture? I should ask before I start picking up museum property. Nestled against the wall was a small table. Usually it was bare, but now there was a laptop and someone seated in front of it. Excusez-moi? Hi, buddy. You and your tattoos, your really generic tattoos. Sherry's student, I presume? He approached me casually and stood beside the table. Yes, I'm Melissa Flores. Studying under Sherry. Pleased to meet you. He offered his hand and I accepted with a firm shake. Hendrik Lukenhaus. At your service. Hendrik, the geologist? Augustine's nephew? That's me. I was supposed to be here earlier, but was caught in a landslide at work back in Germany. Thought I'd catch up on a few things before Monday. He jetted his chin toward the samples. Were you going to ask about those? Yes, I didn't want to poke around without permission. Can I? Feel free to look around if you'd like. Merci. I picked up a rock, the one labeled calcaire, and this material was everywhere in the cave, limestone. I placed it down and examined one beside it, labeled shale. Where did this collection come from? From one of the cabinets? It's mine, actually. Many of the rocks are ones I've dug up personally found. Or personally found. I thought it'd be nice to have some examples to show the students here. Especially if they can't tell the difference between shirt and shell yet. And what is the difference? He eagerly motioned me over to the tray, picked up the dark rock and offered it to me. It felt grainy in my hand. First off, shale is composed of silt and clay, and it's very soft rock. You've probably seen shale at road cuts or by the riverbanks. And this is shirt. You can already note the waxy luster. And it's much harder than words. Words, man. I held the sample in my other hand. It also felt smoother than shell and almost like glass. This is what you need to keep an eye out for. Nice glove. A lot of stone stools. A lot of stone tools were crafted out of shirt. Fortunately, they tend to stand out like new when you uncover them. I can tell you've given this lecture many times. I'm guessing most students have never worked with rocks before. Yeah, many are into art, computers, and music. I returned the rocks to their rightful spot. What were you doing in Germany? Pretty much what I do here. Supervise excavators, examine and compile soil samples, figure out the stratigraphy. I essentially chalk out the map of the cave to study the sediments and its history. That sounds difficult. You'd think sedimentary information would be more straightforward. Older on the bottom, more recent on the top? You'd think, but geology is never the genus and easy. How to best describe this? Do you like cake? Cake? Of course I like it! He chuckled at my pun. At least he appreciated the silly effort. I think he's just wearing it. Maybe it's a prosthetic, actually. Maybe he has some history and he lost it in a cave-in. Watch me be right. He chuckled at my pun. At least he appreciated the silly effort. You'll be able to follow along then. It's pretty sedimentary after all. What are the chances you tried blah blah blah? Very low. Non-existent, in fact. Then Black Forest? Less layers than I'd like, but you get the idea. Yes, I'm familiar with it. It'll work as long as I picture a multi-layered cake, right? Exactly. Cakes are like basic sediments. Consistent layers and patterns all around. Unlike cakes, stratigraphy is a complex puzzle. Hendrik made multiple slices in the air with his hand, generally lowering the elevations each time to emphasize the point. Layers are slanted due to how they were deposited, whether by weather freezes on land. This goes in. Then, just as the sediment starts to settle, a river of flood may come and wash the top surface away, leaving nothing of portions of the same layer in isolated pockets. Badgers and other bird animals cut through the layers, disrupting sediments further. Some drastic could take place, like earthquakes. They really want me to learn about archaeology and sediments in this game. Never, it's up to me to figure it out. I hope I didn't bore you. We've always said I'm married to my job. It wasn't boring at all. Honest, if anything, it made me realize how much work goes into understanding the cave history. It's definitely not easy, but I enjoy the challenge of piecing information together. My nose itches. Since I'm here, I'll be available if you have any other questions or inquiries. He finished the last sentence like a well-rehearsed routine. How long have you worked here? Me? Let me think. Nearly 4 years now? I helped my uncle during the summer, and then hopped to the few other caves depending on their excavating schedules. After a glance upward, his eyes widened and he slapped his forehead. I'm supposed to be in Namur. God. I hope it didn't startle you earlier. My uncle did mention there'd be a student staying here on the weekend, but it slipped my mind. No, that's fine. It was nice to finally meet you, Hendrik. Likewise. I'll be sure to ask you if I have any other geology questions. That's what I like to hear. I'll see you on Monday. I did go to town. Did I do an email? I did an email. Did I dance? I did dance! Yay me! Okay. No, wait. Go back. Nope. Not that kind of back. Sorry. Okay. Objective. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Wait. What? I don't. Back up. Go back. I don't. Wait. Who? Where? What? Okay. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. No. Wait. What? No. Let me save the game because I haven't saved yet. Okay. Okay, return. Okay. No. Okay. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, Dark Soul. Okay. Lab or cave? Lab or cave? Let's do the. I need to figure out the cave thing. Study, inquire. That's fine. We'll do study and inquire still. Yes. No. So, No. You know what? Let's socialize. And then a volunteer takes 2. So, no, we'll do volunteering. Okay. Tuesday, we'll do the lab. And we'll browse the internet. And we'll inquire. Okay. And then we'll do the cave. I don't even know if this is how it's gonna go. Well, socializing is good. We do want to do that. And then we'll play catch. I don't know what I'm doing. And then we'll do cave again because cave is important. We'll play catch and we'll study. And then Friday we'll go to the lab and we'll volunteer again. Okay. And then town. I should explore the museum. And then I'll explore the town and then I'll dance again. Okay. I may not be. I am not okay. I will never be okay. Today is the 3rd year anniversary of my divorce, basically. Well, the breakup that led to the divorce. So today we are celebrating by playing a dating sim of my singleness of the last 3 years. Oh, chocolate hazelnut, you're worth the extra insulin. She's diabetic. When I was done, I rolled the bread up and bit the end, my mouth glued shut as I chewed, while the spread smeared my cheek. Detailed. Glad I was eating breakfast alone. I was being sloppy. Bonjour. Huh? Someone lightly pecked me on one cheek. The person immediately pulled back, and I hastily rubbed my face while he did the same. DeAndre, I was stuffing my face. At least warn me next time before you kiss me. I could say the same. What was that with the kiss anyway? It's how we greet friends. Usually the cheek kiss goes a little smoother than this one. He eyed my breakfast and snorted teasingly. Cute, Mel. Oh, he's becoming a teaser now. I like a good teaser, but we'll see. Hey, I wasn't expecting everyone to arrive soon. Did you drive here? We took the train. It only stops here every half an hour, so you either arrive early or slightly late. Before I questioned that, DeAndre tapped the side of my cheek. You still have some... You too. Still? Did you dunk your face into... I did not! Your timing was atrocious. While we were both cleaning ourselves, I noticed Kyler observing us with a deadpan expression. He frowned in disgust and disappeared around the corner with his belongings. I don't like Kyler. DeAndre sighed, rubbing his temple like he'd had an impending headache. I don't think he likes me. Something happened? Well, do you remember that rowdy night? I went to bed early, so... Well, a bunch of us started Hey, bitch. Yeah, they're home. Yeah. I may or may not have nailed Kyler in the head with a ball. Was he okay? Yeah, he was fine, if upset. I tried to apologize, but he wouldn't hear of it. Now he probably thought I was shamelessly flirting with you like some full-time playboy. Oh, you aren't? Part-time. Okay, I like this guy's humor. Kyler seems to be the type where first impressions are everything. I think you're right. He seemed to tolerate me once he learned I was serious about archaeology. Oh yeah, you two work in the same location. About the ball incident. Leave it to me. My square is next to him anyway, so I'll be able to talk to Kyler anytime. Really, it's not a big deal, but let me know. Let him know I apologize for that. A few other students trickle in, and I finish my breakfast before there were any more mishaps. Anyway, where did you stay this weekend? I fiercely chewed my oversized portion, but DeAndre flashed me a patient I'll wait smile. Coughing, I simply tapped the table since I couldn't talk. Here. How was it? I survived. When a car pulled in, I knew Augustine and Sherry had arrived. I waved to them as they got out, although I really wanted to whine to Augustine about the whole ghost thing. After Sherry and I greeted each other, she handed me my journal back. Be sure to read the comments in the journal when you have time. It'll give you an idea of how you're performing. Thank you, I will. Also, since this is your second week, you now have the option to pick lab work if you'd like. Oh, right. I'll notify Hendrik. He handles the lab 101 here and can explain the procedures to you. Nice! It seems my options have opened up. Yes. We will all sing the Kyler can go fuck himself, fuck himself, fuck himself. Until he, you know, gets a whole turnaround in the game and we suddenly like him. Or something like that. There's sure a lot of stuffs and tools here. I perked up as Hendrik tapped the whiteboard with his prosthetic fingers. Oh, they are prosthetic, so it is prosthetic hand. I was right, it's prosthetic. Did they mention that and I didn't read it? His lecture was occasionally interrupted with polite giggles and groans, and he would grin at their reaction. Hendrik loved to deliver puns in any language, I mused. Once the explanation wrapped up, people collected plastic bags, each with a sheet inside. Some barely contained any material, while others had huge bones encased in tinfoil. I grabbed a decently sized one with mostly smaller items and fished out the fish, along with a wrapped item. Is this your first time doing lab work? Yes. Sherry's gone over the procedures with a slide presentation, but it's different seeing it all up close. If you'd like, I can clarify a few things. I thought it'd be easier to do a little one-on-one instead of repeating myself in both languages and taking up more time. Really? Then... Can you break down the lab process in simplest form? I'm gonna just skip this. I think if I can. Alright. Keep it simple, stupid. Alright. Yes, we get the KISS method. The KISS method too in massage school. Or at least we joked about it. There's a lot of little acronyms back in massage school, and they were all pretty stupid. Something about a bra. Like Cora. Was it Cora? Something in bras, yeah. I think I got it. Thanks for the help. Green problem. Problem. But I'll mostly be helping out in lab, working alongside the other students. Hendrik, need help with anything? Could you supervise my first cleaning? Of course, I know lab work can be tough. Tough. Here we have our tools. Toothpick, brush, craft stick, cloth, and the water sieve. Remember that we're dealing with mostly fragile objects and it'd be too time-consuming to clean each one perfectly. The idea is to make the object recognizable. Luckily, you'll be cleaning a piece of shirt, so let's wash it off in the sieve. In a mini-game, you must pick tools to get close to the target force as possible. Each tool has a different force. Alright. However, each tool to see what it is. And select bucket sieve. I have already done that, thank you. As you can see, it's revealed the number of the tool's force below it. This will only happen for the first tool selected. There we go. I'm going to use the cloth to wipe it down. Although you can't see the rest of the tool's forces, their values will always go lowest to highest from top left to bottom right, i.e. 2, 3, 4, 7, 9. It looks pretty clean now, just a bit of dirt in the crevices. Compare the target force to your force. How close did you get? Pretty good. That's a little easier to understand. There, done. Great, you can let it dry off before bringing it. I feel there's a bit of luck involved. Each game starts with a random generated force that can be anywhere between 1 and 9. Again, values always go lowest to highest, from the bottom left to the top right. It is. Some sturdy-looking bones start crumbling as soon as you touch them, and some are already in awful condition. I'd rather see a slightly dirty object intact than a clean broke one, if that makes sense. The goal is to either match the target force or get within 4 points below it. If you go over, the object will break. Ooh, so don't push it if it feels like it's as clean as it'll get. You got it. Oh, excuse me, need to help another student. No problem, thanks, Hendrik. Now for the next one. It's not a rock this time. Hendrik drifted away to answer questions from other students while I gingerly unwrapped one of the items in the tinfoil. It was a tiny tooth with only minimal dirt attached to the root. At least it was easy one to work with. I dunked a toothbrush into the water and began to scrub it. I dried it off and set it on the cloth, then uncapped the ink bottle and neatly dipped the nib into it. Gently, gently. I'd barely touched the tooth with the nib when a giant splotch of ink dispersed and penetrated the root. It now resembled a squished black spider. Ugh. I cleaned the nib and scrubbed the blotch as best I could. It seemed to work, but it also scratched onto the tooth. It's harder than it looks. I'm already missing the cave. Of course, this was where the real discoveries would take place, where everything was catalogued and identified for future examination. It would also be graded for my lab work, so it wasn't something I could avoid entirely. Time to see if I can finish this one at least. I didn't get to go to the cave. You guys didn't tell me I couldn't go to the cave. I wanted to go to the cave. Oh, okay. Okay, so we gotta figure this game out because I do not understand it. So it's 5, so that just means all 5 will be done. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, and this one is 2. This one is 1. This one is 1. This one is 5. Incorrect. Try again. Fuck you. So this one is 2 and 1. So 2. Wait, so 2. 3 and 1. Oh, so this one. Wait. This one will only have 1. I don't get it. Okay. So 2 and 3. So I don't get it. How is that? Okay. I don't. This does not make sense to me. I'm gonna have to look this game up because I don't get it. Someone has to explain this digging game to me. Because I don't get it. Someone explain it to me. I don't know how to cross-reference. Because clearly 5 is 5, but we get that. So how would I... That's not what I meant to do. If that's... Okay, so 1 to 1, 3. So it'd make 3 down? Okay, maybe I'm getting it now. Okay. And that would be 1 to 1. This would have 3 down. This would have 2 down. So I don't... Do I not do that one? No. Space 1. Okay, so 3 down, space 1. But that's not even... I did it! I did it. Thank you. Like, my brain was slowly figuring it out, but confirmation helps. Huh, I never thought I'd struggle to figure out something was bone or stone. Bone or stone. In the end, it's all bone and stone. Huh. I caught it. That's me reading it while I chew. I turned the thin brown piece in my hand while my thumb rubbed off some of the dirt attached to it. Luckily, it left an imprint in the soil so I could turn it to its original context, but I didn't want to measure something that would reveal to be worthless. I thought about asking Sherry, but I already pestered her with a million questions this morning as she was helping other students. Turning off my music, I glimpsed at Kyler. He was kneeling down and jotting something on his fiche, using one of the protruding rocks as an improvised table. Clenching the unknown object, I wondered if I could ask him. Moreover, it would give me a chance to apologize on DeAndre's behalf. He was completely absorbed in his work, though. I tapped the rock surface next to the paper to get his attention, and he glanced up in response. Sensing a conversation, he raised his hand to his cochlear implant and switched it on. Oh, this is apparently a school for the disabled. I was wondering what that was on his head. And she's diabetic. So we have an amputee, diabetic, and a guy who's mostly deaf. Interesting. Fascinating. Sorry to bother you, but I have a question. I held up the object and he placed the pen down. It felt like a victory that I captured his attention. What is it? I'm stuck playing the bone or stone game. What do you think? He extended his arm and I placed the item into his outstretched palm. He held it up to the heat lamp behind us. In silent anticipation was agonizing. I was surprised. Was Kyler stumped on it as well? Just when I was about to inquire, he moved his hand to his mouth and pressed the object against his tongue nonchalantly. What? It's stone and not worth recording. You can toss it into the bucket. I reluctantly held out my hand as he dropped the slightly damp stone into my possession. Okay, I'm sorry. Ew? Gross. I only licked it. It didn't stick the whole thing in my mouth. Yeah, but... Sorry, that's still gross. I decided to drop it. It was a rather childish reaction, and Kyler wasn't impressed. He picked up his pen dismissively. Bone is porous and sticks to the tongue. With that, he coolly returned to his sheet before I could thank him. Didn't even get a chance to bring up the other thing. I'm sorry, I would have been kind of grossed out too if someone just stuck what could be shit on their mouth. You don't know what it is. Tossing the stone into the bucket, I returned to my square dejectedly. Sorry, I failed. And I didn't get a volunteer either. I don't know what it wants me to pick. Like, how do I know what I'm going to be doing? The game already decides that for me. It's like, guess what schedule you're gonna get this week, and if you're wrong, fuck you. Yep, from the freezer. I really need to let them cool a little bit because I've been hurting my jaw trying to chew through when they're not. I guess not cool a little bit, but warm up a little bit. I was braver this time. Instead of sitting on the end of the bench, I positioned myself right in the middle, hoping to mingle with other students. I had the carton of apple juice that was out of my reach. I did not want to stand... Like, I don't like Kyler. So I'm not going to try to, like, woo him. Because if you treat me like a dick when we meet, no. Like, that's not okay. That's not healthy. You can be... It's your job to come over and apologize for whatever reason you were being a dick to me the first time. But if you're gonna come off as a dick the first time we meet, I'm going to assume you're an asshole and that's just your personality or you want nothing to do with me, and I'm not gonna try to schmooze you to make you like me because I don't want that kind of relationship. That's what this is gonna become. This is gonna become dating advice from Lanai on how to avoid toxic people and don't fall for the asshole in the game, because the assholes are an asshole and they shouldn't be romanticized. But for some reason, in dating games, the quiet asshole is always romanticized, like, by the majority, and I feel like that's just showing that women have this habit of going for toxic people. But maybe that's just me. I had the carton of apple juice that was out of my reach. I did not want to stand up and reach over since that would seem rude. However, I wasn't sure if I could communicate clearly to the people beside me. It was worth a shot though, and I did try to brush up on my French when I had the chance. Please, pronunciation, don't fail me now. I hesitantly extended my finger toward the item. Excusez-moi? Pouvez-vous... something... Le jus de pomme. I don't know. I need to take my French lessons again. The girl clapped a hand to her mouth in shock, then excitedly gestured with one arm in the air. Right. She wanted me to repeat. Répétez. Repeat. I stammered out the line, but finished strongly. Moments later, everyone applauded. Merci? As the claps died down, I felt a little more welcome here. It was rather encouraging, but it wasn't getting my juice any faster. It seemed my thoughts were heard, and the juice carton appeared beside my plate. I glanced up, and the redhead across from me smiled. Recognizing each other, we exchanged a grin. Merci beaucoup. You're welcome. Joanne and I met already. I'm Melissa. Chantel, sorry for the spotlight, but I thought a little cheering would help. It's fine, I appreciate it. I poured my drink while Joanne eyed me curiously. Chantel? She is from the States. Yep, California to be exact. Beaches, bikinis, movie stars, and all that jazz. Come all this way. You want to be an archaeologist as well? Yes. I jumped at the chance to excavate at a Neanderthal. Neanderthal. I feel like they're trying to say Neanderthal, but they say Neanderthal site. Unless they're trying to say by river, but that wouldn't make sense of the when they said mandible, tooth, and stuff. I can't exactly do that back home. It's incredible to be surrounded by all this history. What about you two? What degrees are you taking? Chantel translated for me, and Joanne brightened as she raised her fingers close to her cheeks and wriggled them. Music. I play the flute. Neat. How do you say flute in French? Chantel chuckled loudly, but managed to relay the question to Joanne, who giggled. Flute? Why am I not surprised? But isn't that nice? It helps with learning a language if many of the words are identical or similar. If it's all else fails, say the word in English. There's a chance we might understand. Or are you monolingual? Well... I guess so. When I think bilingual, I think you're fluent in both languages. I mean, I do know a little Spanish, but... You speak Spanish? Kinda. My parents are fluent, but I've gotten rusty over the years. Why? Are you learning Spanish? Chantel pouted between a spoonful of cereal sprinkled with cocoa powder. I'd like to, but Spanish classes conflict with my other courses. I want to go to South America and the Caribbean, so I'd like to master both English and Spanish. We both glanced back at Joanne, who patiently tried to follow along. Chantel quickly summed up our conversation, and Joanne nodded. Chantel wants to take underwater. I'm interested in underwater archaeology. Sadly, this elective is not what I'm looking for. Excuse me. But the choices were pretty limited. I guess the cave can get damp occasionally if that counts. I admit underwater archaeology was not a field I had given much thought to. Why underwater? Are you... searching for sunken cities? That's part of it. Well, that and pirates. Pirates have always fascinated me. I'd like to excavate something like Port Royal, the infamous Jamaican city that was partially submerged after an earthquake. There's already been multiple investigations of Port Royal, and it makes me anxious. I really want to start enjoying something amazing like that. I feel by the time I graduate, everything about Port Royal will be studied and left alone and forgotten like Gratte but whatever. But I'm sure there's something to worry about. I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. Archaeology rediscovers Pompeii hundreds of years ago, and the excavations are still ongoing. These things take time, like Quillan. Of course. I paused to let Chantel summarize our conversation again. Joanne giggled, then responded in a sentence so soft I couldn't catch it. What did she say? Joanne says she's a super slow digger in Grotte de Cullen. I know no archaeology. Chantel helps. More like I reassure her I'll help and then wonder if I should bother Mr. DuPont. I'm thankful for Mrs. Keller. She's very patient. And I guess there's Hendrik too, right? He seems pretty approachable. He is, and he's definitely geologist-y. Chantel tilted her head toward the far end of the table. I could see him socializing with Sherry and Augustine, obviously playing catch-up. And he's... Bow, too. He's supervising the labs now. Maybe they won't be so boring this time around. Have you done them yet? Only recently. Sherry encourages me to focus on the cave last week. Lab's not bad, but there's a lot to take in. I find it tedious. Joanne? No. It is tedious, boring. If you'd like, maybe the three of us could work in the lab together. That'd be fun. Sounds like a plan. Okay, which of you am I gonna seduce? Alright. Joanne picked up her empty plate and I did the same. It was nice talking to you, Melissa. Nice talking to you. I'll see you both later. My grin didn't fade after we parted ways. I felt wonderful to branch out and introduce myself to more people. I finally made some female friends. Why did it take so long anyway? Yay! You have 6 more objects to clean in lab today. Good. Oh god. Okay. I don't know. Wait. Okay. So, how do I do it? How do I actually, like... I'm just trying to figure out the controls. So, brush, cloth. Ooh. Sorry. Okay, so now I got it. Bucket, brush, cloth. I broke the object. God damn it. Bucket, cloth, brush. Yay! Okay. Bucket, cloth, toothpick. Damn. I'm trying, teacher. I'm trying. Yay! I did a decent job. Look at me go. Yeah, that just looks like a pile of shit. A pointy pile of shit, but a pile of shit. What kind of bone is this? A tooth? It was the size of the palm of my hand with wave-like ridges on the outside. Who should I ask? Hendrik. Hendrik may be a geologist, but he should be familiar with bones, too. Hey, Hendrik, I have a question. Sure, how can I help? Do you know what this is? I offered it to him and he held it up between his fingers and thumb, examining it closely. There's nothing there. It's all imagined. This whole thing is a delusion. Like my love life. Alright, this is... yes? Not a rock. He casually dropped it out of my outstretched hand. You have no idea. Nope, my expertise lies in geology and geology alone. He is not interested in anything that used to be alive, or still living for that matter. What's that supposed to mean? You know what I mean. You are too absorbed in your work, you never show interest in other people, especially... Augustine, do you know what this bone is? You've seen one silly keel, upper molar, you've seen them all. I see, thanks. A student raised her hand and Augustine wandered off to help. Hendrik scratched his cheek sheepishly. Thanks for changing the subject. No problem, I had a feeling you didn't want your personal life brought up in front of a student. The perks of working with family, I swear we're professional most of the time. Oh, and is a woolly rhinoceros. Hey, how you do know some stuff outside geology. I'm as surprised as you are. I guess I have an inkling of non-geology knowledge buried in my head after all. Okay. Yay! Yay! I'm smart. I didn't get to go to the cave yet. Let me go to the fucking cave. I want to go to the cave. You have a new find to excavate today. Good luck. Oh God. Excuse me. I don't. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. Okay. This one is 10, so we know this one's 10. This one will have nothing. So don't dig here. Okay, so 4. So this one just has the 1. Why did I have to make it so hard? 2, 1, 3. I'm going to take a guess. I really just want to be a dick, I swear. Okay. Sometimes you just gotta use the hints that they give you. You can fill it out from there. Okay. I have no more hints. Let's figure this out now. So this one only have the 1. That's fine. This one will have 4. So 2. Schmirfs or Schmitty, you know, Smurth. Help me. This makes no sense. 1 on 1. This one will have 4. Four across, 2 down. So it can't be there because there's already two down. This one will have 1 down, this will have 3 down, so it could be this one. This one will have 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. This one's gonna have 3. Do they need a veneering down there? I don't. Some left 6. One. I don't get this at all. I know there's a cross-reference, but it's still stupid. Because what does 2, 2, 3 mean? Hey. I don't like this game. I need someone to explain. I need like a diagram that shows me how to do the cross-reffing. No, don't. Because there's got to be a way for me to better understand this. It doesn't tell me anywhere. I need help. Someone must tell me how to do shit. So there can only be 3 going down. 1 going down, 2 going down. And 3 going down. And so it's in segments, so 2. 1, 3. 2. That doesn't make sense. The game does not make sense. I fucking hate this thing. I don't think you're there. My brain, like, grasps part of it, but doesn't grasp the rest of it. So let me see. So this one is 2, so 2, 3. That's the only thing it could be at that point, because those 2 are already decided. This one is 2 and 2. Alright. This one is 2, 2, 3. So one of these is incorrect. I'm gonna guess that one. This is 1 and 1. That's 1 and 3. Why is this a game? Because yeah, so 3 can go down. Great. So 1 is somewhere. But you're already taken. Let's do that instead, I guess. But that wouldn't make sense if there's a gap. Okay. 1, 3. 1 and 1. 2, 2, 3. 2 and 2, so there's definitely 1 too many here. It would have to be you, because the other ones wouldn't work. That was 2, 3, 1. This one's 2, 1, 3. This one's just 3. This one is 2. So I already have 1 too many. So do that. That's 1. I'll take that off. That one's gotta be I did it! My brain is starting to function. Hi, boo. I just want this layer over with already. My fiche is filled up and I got a ton of items in the plastic bag. I tenderly etched into the soil with my smallest trowel, trying to determine where this layer ended and the new one began. It wasn't as clear cut as I'd hoped. Hendrix did say the sediments were rarely consistent like a cake. I glanced at the glossy photograph, comparing the felt lines marked on it to make my progress an actual square. I might as well plaster Kyler again and get his opinion, since we're practically working on the same thing. I aimed my earbud out and turned down the volume. When I was done, I stuck my hand in front of Kyler's face and waved. He sighed but turned on his implant. Yes, what is it? I ignored his weary monotone and tapped my square with my trowel to direct his gaze. I summarized my predicament. So, any idea where the new layer starts? What's the layer you're working on now? I quickly referenced my photograph. 3BMS, and I'm trying to see where 3C-L starts. Shoving out of the way, I observed Kyle intently as he rubbed the axis dirt off his trowel. With neat precision, he scooped out a bit of exposed 3BMS soil and placed it on his hand. After wiping the trowel on his knuckles, he examined the sediments again. Which spots are you uncertain of? Right here. This time he carefully dug out a sample of the possible layer, leaving a visible mark. Once both pieces were in the palm of his hand, he placed his tool down and leaned toward me. I curiously peered down. Now what? What are you doing, Zelly? Are we going to compare them? Yes, and I'll show you how. Here, your hand. I obeyed, and he placed the first sample into my palm. Try rolling it into a ball. I sandwiched it and cycled my hand, feeling the dirt tumble between them. I held it up, however, there were cracks already, and I could feel it fall apart between my fingers. It sort of works. It crumbles easily, though, very gritty. Sandy even, sand with a bit of loam. If it was pure sand, it wouldn't form a ball in the first place. Now for the second one. I wiped my hands on my hoodie before I accepted and repeated the process. This time the dirt held together quite nicely and the texture felt smoother. Does it feel like the same layer to you? Not at all. I presented the rolled up sample and Kyler took it back. He started to flatten the ball in his hand, but it broke before it could get thin enough. It's loam. Neat. You're good at this. He wiped his hand, then hastily glanced away as he grabbed his trowel. It wasn't anything spectacular. It's a method to test soil texture. Besides, it's already explained. What do you mean? The names for each layer is not a bunch of random letters and numbers. They follow a structure. They use terms to help describe the sediment, whether it's texture, color, or grain size. 3BMS, the MS stands for marne sableuse, which means sandy loam. And 3CM is loam. Huh, it really is more straightforward than I thought. Are there any sediments you hate excavating? The layers that are purely rock and stone are pretty annoying. And clay sediments. Clay is extremely adhesive, and it's a pain to clean the trowel every few cuts to take the dirt off. The bottom layers are square contained clay. Great. I picked up my trowel and examined the two spots Kyler had noticed. Anyway, thanks for showing me that trick. Sorry to keep bothering you about it. I try to ask Sherry when I can. I don't mind. If anything, you'll ask for help less and less as you pick these things up. True. I'm starting to get more confident with the procedures. Kyler simply nodded as he became completely absorbed in his excavation again, and inserted my earbud and cranked up the volume. There was one other positive working beside him. I could play my music as loud as I wanted without it distracting him. Yay! I socialized. Did I get a catch? I did get a catch! Okay. Damn! You have a new find to excavate today. Okay, this won't be easier. Okay. 3 and 1. 3. Let's see. So 3 going down, and then there'll be 3 here, and goddamn. I'm going to cheat on 2. And then I'm going to try to figure it out on my own. Okay, so 3 and 1. 3 are down. 2 and 1. This will be 2. And then 1 and 3. Okay, I'll get there. So, oh, yeah. So 3, 1. Just 3. Oh, I didn't do 3 here. That's why. There we go. Let's see if that worked. Nope. Okay, keep trying. Okay, so then 2 are excavated here. 3, 1. So this one is this one's correct. Oh, that's backwards. Hold on. Okay, so 3 and 1. 3. No, it's not there. And then 2. I'm getting it. I have to get some hints just to get it started, but... Bucket swaying in my grip, I made my way down the main catwalk, intended to return to my square. I paused when I saw DeAndre staring at the dirt wall in deep concentration. Every few moments he would raise his trowel but stop inches from the blade touching the soil and then retreat. He looked like he was about to defuse a bomb, but didn't know which wire to cut. Hey, DeAndre, what's up? Startled, he turned toward me, and his focused expression melted into a relieved grin. Hey, just finished the tamisaje. Tamisaje? Yes, the layers I'm working on are mostly dirt, so there's not much to find. What about you? You seem a little hesitant. I'm starting to see why I delayed picking an elective. Right now, I'm paranoid about digging through heaps of layers and not being aware of it. I handed over the photograph and balked at the number of pencil marks that were drawn, erased, and redrawn, along with ink lines that were dotted instead of solid. And I thought I struggled with my square. If anything, his square was easier due to all the rocks that clearly indicated the end of the layer. You cleared out the coche de merde nicely. That was the easy part. It was compressed and dark compared to the next sediment. They all blur into a blob of brown. How am I even supposed to tell them apart? DeAndre. There's always a way to... There's always etching out of the stratigraphy, but that's only a temporary solution, not the most reliable. If you like, I can show you a method to tell sediments apart without resorting to the photograph alone. Really? Sweet as. Here, I'll show you. Recalling what Kyler taught me, I made a notch at the uppermost part of sediment and second layer and directly beneath it. I presented it to DeAndre, who glanced at it curiously but also with a sense of expectation. We're comparing it by testing the texture. Here, can you form a ball with this one? I tipped my hand over so he caught the first sample and he rolled it casually. However, the dirt fell to stick together. That's a very sandy layer, all right? Here's the second one. Is there anything different? This one sticks together. He held it between his thumb and pointer finger to demonstrate. And voila! The color is similar, but the texture isn't. Of course, it's more useful if the sediments are silty. It looks like half of the square is pure rock. I think that one's whole layer. He descended his hands like an elevator to emphasize the scope. Anyway, thanks for the help. Maybe I'll do a decent job here. I don't want to go back to the lab. Didn't like the lab so much. It was boring and repetitive. Then again, so is excavating. But at least you're not getting high off ink and nail polish fumes. Sorry, this is something you're striving for, and I sorta... Please, it's fine. Even if you don't like it, I'm glad you're trying to do your best anyway. That's to avoid failing. I'd hate to end up taking electives, especially one that goes for a full semester. I just want to graduate already. 3-year degree, more like 5 if you're balancing work as well. Work? What's your job? I play for Perona RC, or RC stands for Rugby Club, of course. It's not your university team? I always assumed it was just like that. And you get paid for it? Wait. That's right, I'm a professional rugby player. My team participates in the top flight league here. No way. Why don't you tell me before? It's not that amazing, Mel. I certainly worked my arse off for it, but I'm not one to brag. Much. Besides, even if I did, it's not as if I've heard the team or even the league. True. I don't even follow it back home. Is rugby popular here? Not as popular as football or cycling, but it's a growing sport. And aren't you required to train all year round or something? Ugh, shoot, what did that email say? I think the training resumes in early August, but of course the coach is understanding of my situation. The season itself starts in the fall and runs until May. Afraid I'll leave too soon? Despite rolling my eyes, I chuckled at his question. Oh yes, tears on my pillow because I lost my best kitchen partner. I admit we make a pretty awesome duo. He gestured to his square. Now that you've helped me not to fail, I should probably stop distracting you. I don't want you to get marks deducted because you decided to flirt with the star player. That elicited another laugh from me, and we exchanged a cheerful goodbye. Remembering to grab my bucket, I made a beeline for the ladder. I was surprised to find out DeAndre was a professional athlete. There didn't seem to be much fuss surrounding him here. Yay! Oh. Wait, seriously? How did I end up here? I skated to a halt to get a better idea of my location. My morning jog had been extended way longer than I'd intended. Oh, I'll try this off-road. I said I won't get lost, I said. The hoodie around my waist had gotten loose and I retied the sleeve while I walked briskly along the street. I was definitely high up. Besides me, it was a steep slope, and I knew the cave was located somewhere below. It's already past 8. I should have found my way back like 20 minutes ago. I sauntered closer to the slope and peered down, wondering if I could find a shortcut. No way, that's the cave down there. It was unmistakable. There was a protruding shed half hidden in the rocks, and I could see the worn path. I did not see any trail that descended down, not without weaving through the bushes and trees, anyway. If I backtracked, I would be horribly late. What to do. Just go for it. This is when you ever acted rationally. You're not starting now. I really didn't have a choice in the matter, did I? I took one precise step to secure my footing before launching myself, then I half slipped, half ran down the slope. Nearly dodging trees, I stumbled and ended up bursting through a thicket of bushes. Do all these bushes have thorns? What is this? I shielded my face as I ducked under the lower branches. As the walkway came into view, I grabbed a tree trunk to stop my momentum, huffing and puffing heavily from my detour. And that, children, is why we don't think rationally. Sometimes it works out. Minus a few thorns in your eyes. I emerged from the forest in a less than stellar state, all scratched with leaves stuck to me everywhere. A few curious students glanced up in surprise. When Hendrik noticed their movement, he followed their gaze and gave me a bewildered look. What happened to you? I took the wrong turn during my jog. I'm still intact, though. I let out a nervous giggle as I hastily brushed off the leaves and plopped down in an empty chair, wanting to drown myself in the work immediately. She tapped her head repeatedly and I combed my fingers through my hair in response, trying to fix my dishevelment. After a few moments, Joanne delicately reached over and plucked a leaf from my hair. Is she my lesbian option? She might be. She's cute. Oh, merci. We exchanged our amused smile and we silently returned to our task. Although we were in the shade, I started to feel unusually warm as time went on. I squinted as I struggled to jot down the information on the bone. I wiped my forehead, then paused, surprised by how much sweat I had accumulated. It can't be because of the jog. That was hours ago. The pen grazed against the bone and made an illegible swiggle when my hands involuntarily jerked. Oh, she might be having a diabetic thing. The trembling didn't stop and I placed items down as dread settled in. Crap. I shoved my hands into my pocket, searching for the hard cannings I had on me whenever my blood sugar was low. I froze when I realized they were empty, and I finally patted myself down. I always carried emergency rations on me. How could I? Oh no. They must have fallen out of my pocket when I slid down the slope. I shot up, nearly knocking the chair over in my haste. Joanne flinched, then put a hand to her mouth when she saw my state. Sick. Yeah, not feel well. I need sugar. Confused chatter rose from the day when Hendrik announced something to calm the students down. However, I was not in the mood to address them, and I strained to crawl where I could get something sweet and fast. Wait, the fridge. With semi-shaky legs, I started walking over to the outdoor kitchen, feeling lightheaded. Something warm brushed against my arm, and Joanne gently touched my shoulder. You okay? I help? Can you grab some apple juice? Pommes juice. Just the pommes. Despite my struggles, Joanne understood my request and made a beeline for the kitchen. I decided it was better for me to sit on the bench before symptoms worsened. I heard DeAndre and Kyler snapping at each other behind the counter. The words were in French, but even I could tell it wasn't friendly banter. Their constant shuffling blocked the path to the fridge, and Joanne surveyed the situation. With clenched fist, she impatiently marched over. Something in French. Oui, madame. DeAndre and Kyler exchanged shocked glances, but shuffled aside to let Joanne through. In her hurry, she fumbled when she grabbed a cup, but regained her movements. After pouring the apple juice, she briskly walked toward me while doing her best to hold the cup steady. DeAndre tried to rush over, but Kyler barked out something harsh. DeAndre resentfully retreated a few steps. Joanne sat next to me, making sure my fingers grasped the cup firmly. The rim quivered against my lips, but I was able to take a gulp. The tangy sweetness of apple juice filled my mouth. Amidst it all, I could hear Joanne talking to Kyler and DeAndre in French, presumably explaining the situation. No one barraged me with questions. As my condition improved, Joanne let out a sigh of relief and inched a little further away to give me some room. I licked my lips, then wiped my mouth with my arm as I mumbled behind my knuckles. My amount of gratitude could not be expressed in just 2 words, but I hoped they could sense the relief, the heartfelt emotion behind them. You better? Much better. I admit it. It's been a while since I had an episode like that. What was that exactly? You looked as if you were going to pass out right then and there. Don't pester her with questions. She's still recovering. The hell, man, who died and made you boss? Joanne waved an arm to get their attention. The tension dissolved and the 3 looked at me inquisitively. I cradled the cup in my lap as I formulated an answer. I'm okay now, honest. Is it okay if you stay a little longer, Joanne? DeAndre and Kyler have cooking duty and I don't want to be alone. I've had the seat next to me and Joanne gave a little nod. Sounds good. Take it easy, Mel. After the others disappeared, I realized I needed something, but wasn't sure how to relate to Joanne. Maybe it was better if I walked to the tent myself. However, Joanne's concerned reaction caused me to halt, and I settled back into my seat. Joanne, there's something I have to do, and it's important. Yes? Defeated, I pulled out my phone and typed my request in a French translator. I lifted the screen in front of her. Be back. She's cute, if nothing else. She broke into a brisk walk, half jog, and I used this time to read the translation. That's simple. I should make more of an effort. At least in a non-crucial situation, anyway. Joanne returned to hand me a bag. I flashed a grateful smile. Merci! I spread my legs around the bench and pulled out my slice, careful of the cup next to me. It wasn't until I wiped my fingers with an alcohol swab that I noticed Joanne hadn't paid attention to every thought that I noticed Joanne had paid attention to every movement. I glanced at her curiously. You want to watch? I lifted up my lancing device and her eyes widened. You don't have to. A lot of people don't like seeing blood. I turned my face, covering my eyes to demonstrate, but Joanne shook her head. Can I? Sure. Well, I was oddly touched. It made me happy when people were comfortable with my routine. Of course, it wasn't the same as dancing in front of an audience. After my finger dried, I inched the lance device closer while determining the last painful spot. Why was I suddenly getting nervous? Calm down. Show her you're a responsible person and can take care of yourself. You got everything? Eep. The needle jammed into my finger pad and to the side. The corner of my eyes watered. Ow. You okay? Must be hurt. No. I know what I'm doing. It's not painful at all. I've done this a million times. I'm an expert. In my haste, I almost dropped the meter and I fumbled to keep a grip on it. My elbow hit the cup, knocking it off the table and splashing the vents with juice. I know what I'm doing. Joanne covered her mouth and her face turned bright red as she struggled to keep quiet. We ended up laughing at the same time. At least I successfully tested my blood sugar and missed all of it. Joanne was kind enough to wipe the bench while I packed my bag. When our eyes met, we both exchanged a silly grin. You okay? Yeah, I just need to rest a little. Good. You know what you're doing. Darn right. I will tell Sherry you were sick bad. Mercy, Joanne. She left and I used the opportunity to type in my glucose results on my phone. A few minutes later, I heard someone else approaching. There you are. Sorry about not finding you. I need to get my glucose levels back to normal first. No, I understand. Do you know what caused it? I didn't see you at breakfast. I got lost. Not only did I jog longer than I intended, but I also skipped a meal. This made me sound more and more irresponsible as I went on. And I lost my emergency candy. Please don't fail me. I wouldn't deduct marks for this, Melissa. I think you should get some rest. Let's focus on getting your meal schedule back on track. Right. Ooh. However, I'd like to talk to you about this later. My shoulders pricked and I could only stammer in agreement. What will she bring up anyway? I hope it's not about monitoring me. Yay! Yeah, 5 more objects to clean in the lab today. Oh joy. Okay, so cloth, brush, toothpick. Yay! Okay, if it's 20, I can usually get away with that. Ooh. So cloth. Damn. Ooh, I broke it. Okay. Bucket. Toothpick. Damn. I did a decent job. I got a shell. Yay! Success in my volunteering. I know you're capable, but what happened doesn't sit well with me. You'll be alone all weekend and none of us are staying in Corrine's. If you'd like, you can stay with Helena and me. I held in a groan. If it was only one night, I would be fine with it. However, I felt it would be an inconvenience if I roomed there for 3 nights. Moreover, I wasn't sure if I would enjoy spending time there with a language barrier and age gap. I promise I'll monitor myself extra carefully over the weekend. I can set an alarm to wake up to check my glucose levels. I can leave food next to my bed. I can do a lot of things. I know you feel it hinders your independence, but you're my only student on this field trip. It's my responsibility to guarantee your safety and well-being. I want this to be a wonderful experience. Maybe I should cancel my plans and stay here just in case. At the moment, the office chair swiveled around and Hendrik casually veered from his laptop. If it's not a problem, I could stay. If you're no trouble, and I'd catch up on my work too. Oh, would you? You're a godsend, Hendrik. Relieved, Sherry exhaled with a hand on her chest. From her tone of voice, it was like the choice was already made, without my input. She must have known him for a long time to put that much trust in him. Of course, Melissa has a final say. Don't feel pressured to say yes because I offered. You know yourself best and I respect your decision. My eyes darted between Sherry and Hendrik, one obviously more distraught than the other. I know myself, huh? Then... I admit it had been a while since I had a hypoglycemic episode, and it would be comforting to have someone occupying the same building. It wasn't babysitting, it was simply an extra precaution, I reminded myself. Besides, Hendrik did say he could finish more work. Maybe I could brush up on my geology education too. I also wasn't looking forward to another sleepless experience. Who knew a museum could be so eerie at night? You said it was no trouble, right? Then I'd appreciate it if you stayed the weekend. Cool. I'm glad we got the situation sorted. Augustine walked through the entrance, announcing that he had locked everything up, except the back and front door. All done. Now has the discussion been settled? Augustine had been in the same room briefly when Sherry first addressed me, therefore he had a gist of the situation. It has. Hendrik has offered to stay. Not a bad decision. He is behind on his work. Again, sorry about that. I'll catch up now. Then I'll see you Monday morning, Melissa. Hendrik. Right, take care, Sherry. Bye, Augustine. Sherry grabbed her purse and walked out while Augustine followed. He lingered by the door, his eyes sparkling mischievously. It might be a good thing for you two to spend some quality time with a cute... Might be a good thing for you to spend some quality time with a cute girl. Nunkel, you know me. The chief archaeologist laughed and closed the lab door, while Hendrik rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. Senile old man, you're a student here, not... Sorry about that. It's fine. What's the work you're behind on anyway? Sitting back down, he rolled the office chair to his laptop and rested his hand on the mouse. Just some documents from last year that I still need to get around to. He made a few clicks, opening up the application I wasn't familiar with. I work here exclusively during the summer, so things can pile up quickly. Hendrik instantly brightened like a child as he whirled toward me. I'm updating the microstratigraphy log, now that I've got some new dates established. Want to see? Sure, what is it exactly? Behold, the entire strata of Grotta de Clan. He opened up a huge visual diagram. One side was colorful, all earth tones, with various dots and gray spots of various sizes. It took me a moment to realize I was looking at all the layers documented. The top had a cavern picture, including a cute bat and speleothems. Each set of it had its own assigned identification and information blurb. And that was just the stuff going back 40,000 years. Whoa! Can you scroll down? I want to see where I am excavating. Layer name? I'm almost down with 3CL. So you're roughly around 120,000 mark. Closer to the end of the Eemian period, depending on who you ask. Either way, it's still interglacial sediment. Summers were dry and warmer, winters mild, with temperatures and boreal trees. It was forested then. It gets cooler around the 130,000 mark. The beginning of the early Eemian period. There's a surge of pine and spruce in the pollen counts. The cursor circled the indicated spot. Tons of clay layers. You'll have fun when you get to those. I didn't bore you, did I? Of course not. Actually, to be honest, I was surprised you knew so much about pollen counts. That doesn't seem geology-ish. Palynology isn't my strong point, but it's useful when applied in geology, like geochronology or archaeology, climate change, etc. And andere. You pick up the interdisciplinary sciences as you go. If anything, I'm better compiling data. I leave the bio stuff to the real experts. Now the stuff I focus on in situ and the rework along with. There's a low grumble and he turned away from the computer screen. He chuckled and clicked out of the program. Since the students left, dinner was not served, and it was getting close to the time I should be eating. It's probably for the best if we stop here. I tend to get wrapped up in my work. Hope I didn't talk your ear off. Nope, I'll be pestering you all weekend about this stuff. You won't mind, right? This internship provided me with opportunities to converse with people of various expertise. How could I pass it up? By all means, you're a student here too. I'll wait. If I'm staying here, I should pick up some stuff from my place and food. I can't eat the leftovers here. He walked over to the lab entrance and grabbed his keys off a small peg. Said, "Are you in the mood for spaghetti? I'm not an amazing cook, but I'm already having greens back home and I can make it here if you don't mind waiting a little longer." Yes, I love spaghetti. Then, before I go, is there anything you avoid eating? Allergies, diet restrictions? I'm pretty flexible when it comes to food, but I don't eat red meat. Duly noted. Back in a bit, Melissa. With a jingle of his keys, he departed, leaving me to my own devices. I eat all meat. As long as I'm not allergic. I'm a little allergic to crab, but I still eat it. I'll keep myself busy for now. A while later, Hendrik was making the sauce in a large skillet, stirring in basil and crushed tomatoes. The garlic cloves smelted. He smelted the tomatoes and the garlic cloves. It was a bit of overkill, but I went with it. The garlic cloves smelt heavenly. I was across the counter, elbows propped up while I watched him. I thought you said you weren't great at cooking. This is a 4-ingredient sauce. I hardly think it counts as anything above beginner level. 5 if you count the salt and pepper, or would that be 6? My word, a 6-ingredient pasta? I'm moving up in culinary strata. I hope you don't mind a meatless sauce, though. Vegetarian? For a while now. You? Or do you only avoid red meat? You can call me a semi-vegetarian. I avoid meat when I can. The lazy vegetarian diet. More like I avoid meat, but I won't say no to Grandma's yearly Christmas steak. Don't want to break her heart after all the effort she put into our meals. Some of my family members were baffled when I started making the switch. My old Boma would be all, "Back in my day, we slathered everything in butter and deep-fried it, and that was the way we liked it." Boma. What's your surname again? Lukenhose. I'm from Flanders region. Flemish or Belgium Dutch is spoken there. Augustine is my mother's brother if you're trying to figure out family relations. Makes sense. And you know all 3 languages? That and some German. Very meager, though. I got my Master of Science and Geology in Germany, and only English knowledge was required. Jeez, you're quite accomplished. That's wow. No need to flatter me. I don't think I'm that... Oh shit, it's burning! He quickly removed the skillet and placed it in the wooden platform, followed by a boiling pot of pasta. Grabbing a creased rag, he waved it away the thick white smoke, then mustered up a sheepish smile. Smooth. Let's pretend you're still impressed, and bon appetit, shall we? The sauce was a tinge garlicky, but I ate without complaint. It was a refreshing change from weekend leftovers, and I was grateful for his generosity. We ate outside, focusing on our meals too much to talk. When I was done, I set the fork down on the plate with a clank, drawing Hendrik's attention. You sure were famished. What are your plans now? I'll do the dishes. It's only fair since you made us dinner. You sure? Of course. Let me return the favor. You did more than your share. Besides, wouldn't you like to return to your work ASAP? He averted his gaze, confirming I was right, as he found the offer too enticing to protest. Then, if you wouldn't mind. Cramming the remaining pasta in his mouth, he stood up, chewing frantically. After arranging the fork on his plate, he casually passed it over, then cleared his throat. Thanks, Melissa. I admit, that's one of the drawbacks of living alone. You can't divide up the chores. He headed for the museum entrance. I let a hopeless sigh, but my lips curled into a faint smile. Really? Plates in hand, I transferred all of the utensils, including the skillet and pot. When I was done washing, I grabbed my pajamas and other belongings from the tent and trooped to the second floor of the building. As I got ready for bed, I wondered where Hendrik would spend the night, most likely downstairs. The laboratory was spacious if you moved the tables. At least I wouldn't have to worry about ghosts tonight. Cute pajamas. The wooden stairs were cold against my bare feet as I stepped down the creaky panels, sleepily rubbing my eyes. I stopped in front of the lab door. After combing my hair with my fingers to give me a half-decent appearance, I opened the door and cracked and peered inside. Hendrik? You up? The lights were on. I opened the door completely and stepped into the room. I spotted Hendrik slumped over his laptop, a few fingers resting on the keyboard. His face was obscured behind his arm, but it was evident he was still asleep. You didn't go to bed at all, did you? I quietly approached him, raised a hand, wondering if I should tap him on the shoulders to wake him. Maybe it was better if I left him. Make coffee first. I think coffee will be the perfect wake-up call. Besides, he did mention the disadvantages of living at home alone. Maybe it'll be welcoming to wake up to some fresh coffee already made for a change. Unless he doesn't drink it, like me. I didn't know what he preferred, but I reckon regular old black coffee was a safe bet. I went to the outdoor kitchen and examined the coffee machine to determine its complexity. Delighted that it used coffee pods, I picked a dark roast from the capsule holder and prepared a single cup. When I returned, I pushed the keyboard out of the way and then gently shook Hendrik's shoulder. He let out a lazy yawn as he sat up. Once I set the mug down, his eyes lit up with interest. He glanced my way. Morning! I thought you'd like a pick-me-up. Sorry, I wasn't sure what you wanted, so it's plain black. He smiled and gently hooked a finger through the handle. It's perfect. I like my coffee how I like my job. Dark and dirty. That's your love life, too? I mean... He grinned proudly to himself as I rolled my eyes to his joke, and he swiveled the chair in my direction. Thanks, Melissa. I really needed that. I practically passed out. Were you able to finish some stuff? I'll find out once I start reviewing it. After a tiny sip, he set the coffee down and navigated the mouse. Pages and pages of letter M and commas. I don't think the Royal Society of Archaeology would accept this. While he corrected his work, I made a caramel macchiato and settled it in one of the chairs, positioned in the center table. We made small talk while we enjoyed our drinks, mostly about the work he accomplished, or not, and how Hendrik never found the museum that creepy at night. What? You mean you never experienced the sound of someone slowly walking up the stairs and then stopping? You don't seem like someone who'd be terrified of ghosts. I was honestly never scared of ghosts until now. I'm blaming your uncle and his Wrath of the Neanderthal joke. If anything was haunting this mansion, it'll be all the cave bears we dug up. He set the empty mug down next to his computer. I'm going for a shower. Even the geologist likes to be dirt-free once in a while. As long as you don't steal all the hot water. It's my one luxury when everyone is gone. No 20-minute shower. No 20-minute shower has gotcha. Standing up, he set his laptop to sleep mode. As he walked down the hallway, I whimsically swiveled my chair toward the table. My eyes fell on the bright green bottle next to a small bag. Judging by the washcloth folded beside it, I grabbed the bottle, briefly scanned the contents before bolting out of my chair. Hendrik, you forgot your shampoo! Peering around the corner, he already had a towel thrown over his shoulder. I tossed the bottle underhandedly, and he caught it with ease. Oh, thanks. You just spared me a potentially awkward moment there. No prob. Yay! 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 culture, rational empathy, diligence. My diligence sucks, apparently. Cave. Play catch. Study. Lab. Volunteer. Wednesday. Cave. Browse the internet and inquire. I have no clue. Lab. Volunteer again. Volunteering is good for us. Do the lab again. Study. Study. We need a study this weekend. Check our email. And then we'll dance. Because dancing good for us. Yay! Apparently I gotta start early then. Have a new find to excavate today. Good luck. Alright, let's see what I can do here. So 1, so this is 5, so we know that's 5. So there won't be any more on this. It's gonna be 2 and 2. This is gonna be 5. So let's see. So that's the 2, so that one. So 1 and 2. So let's see. 1 and 3. 3 and 1. And 2. Is that it? Yay! I'm figuring it out. Coordinates. Ugh, these clay sediments are a pain. I grumbled inwardly as I wiped the sticky dirt off yet again. I was on my knees trying to finish the last 25 centimeters. I did uncover tiny bones, but rationalized they weren't worth sketching in the grid. There was a sound of scraping metal, and I turned to see Hendrik climbing down the ladder behind me. What a rare sight! You're hardly ever in the cave, Hendrik. I know, as a geologist you'd think it'd be opposite, but I'm here now. But look, his glove's not on. He surveyed my square, and I started to get self-conscious, wondering if I was doing something wrong. I hope you don't mind the tight squeeze. He knelt down next to me, and I hastily moved to my haunches, offering him my knee pad. He shook his head. Don't worry about it, I'll just be here for a few minutes. I want to observe your digging technique. After I made myself comfortable again, I leaned forward to start excavating. He watched, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. How am I doing? Is your wrist well? Any pains from repetition? Nope. Sherry gave me some pointers to avoid it. Great. Mind if I borrow your trowel for a second? Sure. I cleaned it, handed it over, and he grasped it nimbly. I've noticed your wrist is slightly angled, and you're simply scraping or trailing your trowel through the dirt. It's painfully slow. Isn't archaeology supposed to be painfully slow? He chuckled and then held the trowel so it was parallel to the dirt. It is, but even you should be able to dig through a few centimeters a day. Align your trowel like this, then make a nice downward flick with the wrist. The blade of the trowel effortlessly sliced through the clay, much cleaner than before. Don't be afraid to make larger cuts. This helps you avoid blurring the sediment lines. As it's neater and easier to distinguish. His movements were broad yet graceful. It was strange, even with such a simple action. I could tell he was experienced. I watched him in awe. I have to say something obvious here. You're good at this. I've been doing this for years, so I have a slight inkling of how to excavate. Also, he extended his arm upwards, toward the middle of the square. The trowel smoothly grazed over the dirt until it led a bit into a slope. Your square isn't entirely vertical. If you're worried about digging too far inward, use a ruler to double check. Thanks for the tip, Hendrik. Green problem. If you need me again, I'll be happy to sit. Just don't start taking me for granted. Okay, that was cheesy. Easing for you. Hey, that pun is a classic. He returned the tool to me and stood up, glancing in Kyler's direction. Hendrik rubbed the back of his head, mulling over how to approach him. Finally, he tapped Kyler on the shoulder. Kyler begrudgingly stared at him before activating his implant. Kyler's voice struggled to keep an even tone, while Hendrik's voice had a shaky cheerfulness to it. I was wondering if you needed any help or had any questions. I'm fine. I don't need your help. I don't like Kyler. I don't like Kyler at all. Kyler returned to his square, ignoring Hendrik, who sighed ruefully. It's not the best time to ask, even if my curiosity is killing me. I returned to my work while Hendrik climbed up the ladder, most likely to make his rounds with the other students. Staring at my trowel, I recalled Hendrik's movement and then attempted to mimic them to the best of my ability. Sliced cleanly, huh? I inspected the work Hendrik did and made similar size cuts into the soil. The clay was sticky and cumbersome, but it was not as bad when I had my trowel angled. The rest of the day was uneventful, but at least my progress was much better. Beep boopy boopin'. I stood up and stretched. It was a good time to take a small break and jot down some notes in my journal. I'm gonna get some fresh air. You know, Kyler, you're gonna get hypoxia if you don't go outside every now and then. I'll be fine. Okay, later. Oh. Completely famished by this morning task, I scooted onto the bench with a bowl of mushroom soup. Grabbing a slice of Swiss cheese, I tore it, and dropped the pieces into the soup. What are you doing? Adding cheese to my soup? Is that what people do in America? It's what I do. I guess it's common enough. I haven't really thought about it. A few seats down, I noticed Kyler also eyeing my actions before silently returning to his meal. Was adding cheese to soup really that bizarre? I heard a holler behind us, and many of us automatically turned our heads toward the driveway. A tall woman dragged a suitcase behind her while her free hand waved toward one end of the eating area. Hendrik immediately stood up and approached her. Rose, glad you can make it. I don't think you'd arrive this early. No thanks to you. You practically ditched me in the middle of those core samples. What can I say? Analyzing core samples is boring. Oh no, don't pun around with me, Mr. Ace, a geologist. Her stern expression faded, and they both exchanged a cordial grin as they leaned in for a cheek kiss. Augustine and Sherry gathered around her as well. Would it be okay to introduce myself too? I couldn't hurt. Besides, she was part of the main excavation team, right? I knew Sherry would introduce me to her eventually. I sauntered over while Rose gave a greeting kiss to both Augustine and Sherry. My professor smiled and extended an arm to beckon me closer. Ah, is this your summer student, Sherry? I swear they're getting younger and younger every year. Oh no, she's almost a third year. I get it a lot. Don't worry about it. You'll appreciate it as you get older. Anyway, I'm Rosemarie. She extended her hand and I took it respectfully. And you are? Melissa Flores. Do you work here too? Yes, I'm one of the archaeologists here. I specialize in lithics, stone tools, and all that. She boldly jerked a thumb in Hendrik's direction. Basically, I focus on the rocks that Hendrik has no interest in because they've been touched by Neanderthal or early modern human hands. That's entirely inaccurate, sort of. I may touch upon it a bit, mostly for petrological reasons, establishing geologic resources and trade routes. Rosemary here does the technological aspect and the whole get it into the mind of the Neanderthal angle. Which is a wonderful science in itself. You'll learn many things from Rosemary, Melissa. She's an expert flint napper as well. She produced most of the example stones, tools you see here. Oh, you flatter me, Sherry. I was starting to see there was a wide spectrum of work done in the cave. Sherry focused on bones, Augustine on the context and stratigraphy, Hendrik was all about rocks and sediment, and Rosemary on the tools left behind. I'm glad to see the gang's all here, and thankfully I made it in time for lunch. I'm starving. Here, I can take your suitcase for you. Thanks, did you clean your place? You did arrive earlier than I thought you would. She let out a heavy sigh, lowering her eyelids while Hendrik squirmed uneasily. It's partially my fault anyway. I should have texted ahead. After a step, she pivoted and gave me a little wave and nod. Anyway, it was nice meeting you, Melissa. I look forward to my lecture on lithics later this week. My French is horrid, so Hendrik will have to be the translator for most of the students. For some reason, I could feel a kindling of affinity through that common fact. I will. Rosemary and Hendrik continued their conversation as they headed for the museum. Happy with the introduction, I settled back down in my seat, hoping my soup hadn't gotten cold. Yay! Good morning, Tuesday. Yay! Let's see. Damn. Jesus Christ. I did not do decent today. I did horrid. Augustine, why does this vertebrae look so pitted? Looks like silly cave bear got eaten by a smart hyena or lion. Those are bite marks attacking the anterior thoracic vertebral column. And lower spine. Yes. I squealed in my seat as a brush poked my back. If that is from layer A2 GR, I believe we already have 3 bones from that same animal. Must be tough piecing it all together. We have a collection going back to 80s. We are still fitting pieces found decades apart. Did people always know about this cave? How was it found? You wear a popular movie with an archaeologist who carries whip. Oh, yes. Because of that movie, many kids were inspired and explored region pretending to find treasure. Silly kids stumble on cave here. Who knew an accurate portrayal of archaeology? The discovery. We still get an occasional student who is disappointed this cave is not a booby-trapped temple. I would lose all my help if it was that case. Maybe it is, and we just haven't dug up the traps yet. If so, you will be the first to find out. He laughed and excused himself, and I glanced at the chewed bone. Maybe I should dig on a higher level instead. Yay! I successfully volunteer. Tense. Why was the air around here so tense? I pondered that while I stirred my cheese-drenched tomato soup. Both Joanne and Chantel, who previously sat and talked with me, had disappeared. Many students paced by the museum entrance. Some checked their phones or glanced over the shoulders of others to view their screens. Meanwhile, DeAndre spread mustard on his second or third sandwich. At least he seemed unfazed. What's going on? Everyone appears to be anticipating something. Exam results are being released today. This late? After a casual talk, he took a large bite of his sandwich. He wiped his mouth before speaking. Usually they're released earlier, but they had some problem with the data of entry system, or whatever. They must be super important if everyone looks this anxious. It's a make or break deal. If students don't average out a certain percentage, they have to repeat a year. Compared to the other students, you aren't sweating bullets. That's because most of them are first and second years. I see. You're probably used to this by now then. Too used to it. Fortunately, this will be my last semester, and then I'm free. The only thing left is to finish the elective requirements, since I'd hate to waste a semester on a single course. A more expensive course, too. I'm jealous. At least you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I feel like I barely started, and it'll never end. I felt a playful flick on my forehead. It'll be over before you know it. Hang in there. The workers phone when the students announced something in French, and everyone tapped away on their phones again. Results are up. From the action, DeAndre didn't need to clarify. However, he set the sandwich down and fished out his phone. I got a good look at his phone. It was noticeably bigger and clunkier, an older model, and there were dents all over it. Well, you're not nice to your phone. Have you considered getting one of those protective covers? Those screen protectors? Believe me, I've tried. There's still plastic film all over the side of my desk from attempting to apply those stupid things. Of course, whenever I want to use it, my phone slows down. Or maybe it's the website. What the sheer number of students logging in? He swung one leg over the bench and scanned for someone. Carla was off to the side, also checking his phone, and DeAndre hollered something to him in French. Carla responded curtly, but took a few steps closer to the talk. I wasn't able to follow until DeAndre motioned to me. Hey, let's not exclude her. Anyway, are you on a varsity website? Can you check for me? What department? Seriously? That's sweet as. English department. Tyler paused and glanced at DeAndre inquisitively, but said nothing before turning back to his phone. ID? The first numbers are 826 and 6 again, and the last numbers are 942. You ain't wrong, what I get. Your average is 16.48. A little better than last time, not bad. Is that a good score? What's it out of? 20. I got a grand distinction, which is pretty solid. I'm guessing A's in your country? Was this the correct ID I checked? Oh, what's this, Kyler? Shocked that a pro athlete could get good grades? Smugly, DeAndre raised his hands to his head. After making fists, his fingers sprung out as he moved to an exploding sound. Kyler scoffed and glanced down at his phone. But sure. Kidding aside, I reckon you did well, too. Cheers, buddy. Don't buddy me. Mate? Don't mate me either. Wasn't thinking that. After the jest sank in, Kyler massaged his temples with a broad hand. This conversation is over. Kyler stalked off and DeAndre rolled his eyes toward me. I do like the humor in this game. We're getting along so well. Is it still because you nailed him in the face with a rugby ball, or when you both had cooking duty? Completely forgot about that, and yeah, we didn't get along there either. He was absolutely hopeless in the kitchen. I really didn't have the patience for it. He can't do anything. Oh, come on. It couldn't have been that bad. Mel, he can't do anything. He failed cooking rice in a rice cooker. That's bad. That's why if Helena gives me cooking duty, can we pair up from now on? You can count on me. Sweet as. Thanks, Mel. With that sorted, DeAndre excused himself, explaining that he wanted to see his grades in further detail. I returned to my meal, wondering about my own marks. Yay! Oh no. It's the big ones. Okay. I can fill out a few of these at least. So this one's not going to have anything on it, so we already know that. So let's make that clear real quick. So we will not touch these areas. Okay, this one can have 4, but it's only going to have 1. And the 4, however, are going to be towards the bottom, it looks like. So, oops, not that, excuse me. I'm guessing that's all them. So this one will have, let's see, 5 and 1. So, this one's gonna have 6. Let's see, 5 and 2. I guess that's 2. Probably there. This one will have 3. That one won't have any more on it, so assuming I did that right, this one will only have the 1. Let's see. So this would be 5 and 2. Okay. This would be 1, 7. This one 5, 2. 5 and 2, so that one makes sense. 5 and 1. There's definitely going to be one here because we have to, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 1. Maybe. Wait, this one can only have 2 and 1, so this one will be there, so it'll be here. 2 and 5. So I'm definitely probably missing something here. So 5, 1, 2, 3 and 6. Okay. Like, they actually make you stop and think. Like, you have to figure this out in this game. You have to know this shit. So this is gonna be 4 just at the bottom, it says. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one won't have any, so. But then it wouldn't be that one, it'd be this way, I think. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So 4 on the bottom, we got 4 there. It's gonna be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Then 1. This one's gonna be 2, 2, 2. So that one's right because it has 5. Okay. It's gonna be 5 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. This one's gonna be 2 and then 3, so I don't think this one's right. We gets how to dig. It takes some work. Because this one's gonna be 2 and 5, and this one is 5 and 1. This one's gonna be 5 and 2. Two is there. 2 has to be there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. But I can't see it because it has to be 3. So 1 is there. This one needs 3. But I think that would be right because match up. So 3, 1, 2. That's the 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, then all of these have to be clicked at that because that would fill it in. Because unless this one's the wrong one. That one is right. Oops. Sorry. Okay. So then 3 will be all of those ones. 1, 2. We try to understand. We try to understand. Does not mean we actually fully understand. So, have you not heard about antibiotic soap? What? Okay. Okay, let's try this. Okay, let me focus. So, there will be none on here. We know that. There are 4 at the bottom. We got that. There'll be 2 to 5, but that doesn't seem right. So that so 5 to 2. So 4, 5 to 1. Maybe. And then that's the 1. 5 to 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That has to be it because of 5 to 2. 3 to 6. That'd be the whole thing because, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that one whole row has to be, except for the top, which is this one's supposed to have 1 though, so I still need to figure out where this 1 is. So let me put that there, and then we'll take out that one. That would make more sense. So 5 to 1, and then 5 to 2. Okay. 3 to 6 has to be the full thing. This is 1 to 7. Okay. But that's only 6. And this one's 2 to 3. What? What? 1 to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the only way it would work. Unless I did the 1 up there, but the 1 has to be right there because it's on the thing. 5 to 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. 5 to 1. 1, 2. I should have done the top one. 1, 2. No, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. And then 4. Incorrect. I need more hints. So 0, obviously. So 4. We know that's 3. 5 to 1. because they can't be any other way. 5 to 2. Else it's not that, but I don't. Maybe it is that. This would be 5 to 2. But I don't think so. Two to 1. I don't know if it's close. It could be completely off balance. 1 to 7. Because there's ones we know that are right. Like certain ones are right because they can't be anything else. Because this one forces that one there, so this one will definitely be blank. I still need to put another one down here. This is a 6. So I don't think you're there. I think you're here. And this is 2 to 3. Three to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So yeah, 3 to 6. I think that one's gonna be marked out. I'll get there. This is 2 to 1, so this one definitely cannot be this, so hold on. So it would have to be that. Unless one of these isn't right, but I don't think that would be possible. This one needs, because the 3 is set, so this one can't be anything else. Unless, yeah, that's 7. And then 5 to 2. 1, 2, 3, and then 2. 5 to 1. I need more hints. No. I don't think so. Okay, so we definitely know nothing's on that row. Only 4 can be on this row. So let's see. Rows we know that have to be right. This one is 2 to 3, so I don't... So I just feel like that one has to be right. And that's 2 to 3. This one should be 2 to 1, but so one of these has to go. One, 2, 3, 4. That back. I need hints. Probably. I don't know though. 1 to 7. This one has to be right because there's no other option here. And this is 2 to 1. What if it's... And then 5 to 1. So we know this one's correct, so that one's correct. 2 to 5. I feel like this one isn't right. Because there's no gap. 5 to 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. 3 to 6. 1 to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. 5 to 1. And then 4. But then the issue is a few things. That is 6, never mind. Oh! I didn't mean to click skip. Oh well. I moaned as I was jotting down the measurements. Once that was done, I wrapped my... Okay, blah, blah. I was digging through some forgotten Badger Burrow, which meant all the context in it was mixed up and useless. Didn't even need to draw this one document. Even with music on, I heard a heavy rain heavily outside and felt much damper in the cave. Kyler groaned, then shifted from his knees to stand up. As a faster digger, he already reached the bottom of the square and had already stooped position for the time. As I zipped up my plastic bag, the light suddenly went out. There was a few high-pitched squeals, but no real panic. Chatter murmured through the high levels of the cave. I yanked my earbuds out and stuffed them into my hoodie pocket. I could barely see, although there were faint sources of illumination from emergency lights on the main catwalk. Augustine delivered something in French, while Sherry relayed the message farther down. Likely instructions. Pulling out my phone, I switched to the flashlight application and set it to the clipboard between me and Kyler. What did they say? He said that if the lights don't turn on in 10 to 15 minutes, we can leave. He's also grabbing some extra flashlights so he and Sherry can guide everyone out safely. Yeah, I wouldn't feel confident walking around here in the dark, especially on the walkways with no rails. Grabbing my knee pads, I improvised a little cushion and sat down. Kyler did the same, but sat cross-legged with his hands resting on his ankles. There was light conversation, along with jokes and laughter surrounding us, while Kyler and I remained silent. I fought the urge to pick up my phone and fill it with a game or something to pass the time. I craved conversation with Kyler, but had no common ground or good entry point. What would I even mention? Dirt? Digging? How annoying it was for Clay to stick to your trowel. Shoji was shy, but our interests overlapped. DeAndre was friendly overall, and Hendrik would launch into a lively monologue if I asked about rocks. Kyler... Spotting us raising his left hand, I let out a tiny protest whimper before I could stop myself. Wait. His fingers paused inches from inlet, and he turned to me curiously. What is it? I let out a sigh, then mentally kicked myself. I had no inkling of topic either. It was scrambling. I decided to... I curled up my fingers around my knees. Sorry, I did that because I thought you were going to turn your implant off. I wanted to talk to you. You know, to pass the time. Kyler stared at me quizzically, like the notion had never crossed his mind. I wondered how much common it was for someone to initiate conversation with him. I see. I was really going to scratch my head. It wouldn't be sensible to switch it off while waiting instructions. Why do you turn it off anyway? Concentration? Yes, that and battery life. I find it easier to work in silence. Well... He glanced down at my phone with earbuds attached to it. I smiled wryly. Total opposites, huh? I always need background noise, even if I'm reading. Shifting to my knees, I turned to him, sensing that we could maintain a conversation now. I pointed to my own ears impulsively as another question bubbled up. I bit my tongue to stop my inquiry and lowered my arm. However, Kyler noticed. For a second, I thought he would give me a deprecating frown, but instead he seemed amused. His tone was dry and matter-of-fact. You're so nosy. I'm sorry. I don't have to answer. You don't have to answer. I don't mind. Anyway, it's hereditary. I was born deaf. What's the sign language taught here? I only know ASL. There's two. Langue des signes de blah 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 and the Flemish Sign Language. Both are pretty similar. It's the mouthing and dialects that differ. You're going to ask me to sign now, aren't you? It's like you read my mind. Despite that, he seemed delighted, or at least complied without complaint. I can't read anymore. I'm getting tired. His hands moved while he spoke. I usually sign in the French community, therefore I'm used to mouthing or speaking French along with it. English, I'm a bit slower, but I think you get the picture. His voice was deliberately unhurried, as were the gestures that accompanied it. I watched with interest. Since you're from the States, this is how we sign American. He interlaced his fingers in front of his chest. After making a complete circle, his hands dropped down. So when you complain about a noisy American, I'll know what to look for. There is this noisy American girl. The last gesture looked as if he was pretending to scrape something off the side of his jaw with his thumb. He stopped when we both heard voices echoing throughout the cave. After telling us to leave everything, save our documents and photographs here. Safety measure. Gotcha, thanks. Are you okay down there? I glanced up and spotted Sherry, who held a large and powerful flashlight. Yes, we'll be right up. Wow, that digging session was cut short. I failed. Oh no, and then I'm diabetic. As I was joking earlier, we're just a group full of disabled people. I should check my email. My parents must have, and I say that as someone who is technically disabled and have a service dog, so don't at me for calling a diabetic disabled. I'm not diabetic, but I do live with a diabetic. I should check my email. My parents must have. As I opened the lab door, I immediately froze. Augustine ranted angrily at Rosemary, who gestured to a chipped stone with tiny flakes surrounding it. Permission to touch or manipulate any... This is for my research. The two paused and turned to me, and I cowered at their annoyed stares. As I shrunk back, Augustine approached and slammed the door shut. Not wanting to just loiter, I whirled around and collided into someone. Now I was awkwardly sandwiched between this person and the door. Sorry about that. I glanced up, instantly recognizing Kyler's tall frame. He appeared baffled and gazed at the door. Muffled voices still argued behind it. He took a few steps back to allow more space between us. Did something happen? From what I could gather, Augustine is mad at Rosemary over something. Why, are you planning to enter the lab too? Yes, I was planning to ask a few questions. There's probably not the best time now. Yourself? I wanted to check my email. My laptop is in there, but I didn't think they'd appreciate it if I slipped in to nab it. You could try using the computer upstairs. That old thing? Well, worth a shot. It was then I heard the faint clicking of the keyboard upstairs. I doubted Hendrik would remain in the lab with that sort of tension going on. Sure enough, halfway up the stairs, I spotted his auburn ponytail. I glanced back down at Kyler. Maybe it's something you can ask Hendrik? I don't like going to him. Kyler never acted this juvenile, and it caught me off guard. I wonder if he'd mistranslated his words, but his body language suggested otherwise. If you're curious, I could ask Hendrik about the situation. Hesitantly, Kyler took a step forward, and I cheered silently. I doubted Kyler would mention his original question to Hendrik, but maybe engaging him in conversation would loosen him up whatever friction the two had with each other. I trooped upstairs energetically and gave Hendrik a wave. Hey, working up here now? Sort of had to. Couldn't concert with noise downstairs. So. May I use your laptop for a second? I need to check my email. Hendrik reluctantly closed his application, then shuffled the chair back a few inches. Sure, knock yourself out. Just don't take too long. Great, thanks. While I logged in, Kyler spoke up. What are Augustine and Rosemary bickering about this time? Oh, Mom emailed me. Despite my advice, she insisted on gluing flakes to a lithic core found in the A3 layer since we've been able to uncover debitage along to that core. Oh, that was a fancy restaurant Dad took her to. I wish she took pictures of the food and not just the decor. And she ended up using the wrong glue. It's going to be a pain to disassemble. Why do you keep her around? All she does is cause problems for everyone. Oh, there's a link to a bunny video. Should I click that? How can I pass up some cute animals? It'll only take a minute. I loaded the video, then hastily turned off the volume so I did not disturb the other two. Melissa, I said you could borrow it quickly, not watch a movie. What are you even... Oh, it was washing its face. That's a... No, bunny's off the laptop. He swatted me away and clicked out of the browser. He'd usually be more playful about it, but his mood had soured. Also, Kyler, that was out of line. Despite our disagreements, Rosemary is excellent at her job. If anything, her insight has been valuable. I farted Hendrik stood up from his chair, shooting Kyler an aggravated glare. Kyler flinched slightly, but his eyes narrowed again. I tensed up, wondering if I should say something to appease them or leave before it got too heated. I only say that because I'm thinking of the excavation team's best interest. You're getting ahead of yourself here. You're acting like you're one of us already. Just because you're in my uncle's good graces doesn't mean we'll hire you once you graduate. And we're not intending to hire anyone soon, especially not an inexperienced person fresh out of university with only a few months of fieldwork under their belt. Kyler lowered his arms, his eyes looking both resentful and distraught, as if notion had never occurred to him. Recovering, he clenched his fist, his voice rigid with determination. I've excavated here longer than most people. I've certainly spent more time in the cave than you. I'm highly qualified. There's much more than just digging delinquently in some old square. Oh, for. I didn't care if I was an outsider. Guys, quit it! I firmly stood between them before their voices escalated even louder than the commotion downstairs. There's already one dispute. Can we not have another? It's not my job. Anyway, I'm out. You guys can continue bickering if you'd like. Sorry for that, Melissa. Later. Not my job to break them up. I failed. How did I fail the lab and I haven't even gone there yet? Damn. Older One Industry. I failed at volunteering. I made the lab though. Damn it. Damn it. I'm sorry I tried. Oh man, lab is just still difficult. Why does everything I touch turn to dust? I ambled over to the tender, wondering if I should kill time by gaming or reading. It was then I spotted Soji sitting. We haven't seen him for a while, have we? It is kind of a random success thing, yeah. It was then I spotted Shoji sitting at they changed the numbers around. You only get the first one. Shoji sitting on the edge of his air mattress with the tent flap open. There was a sketchbook in his lap, a pencil sticking out of his mouth. He was erasing something intently, his eyes furrowed in concentration. Quietly, I sauntered over and leaned to the side to catch a glimpse. What you doing? His head jerked up in surprise as he dropped the eraser, his eyes wide, peering over his glasses. He mumbled over the pencil before taking it out. Once the shock wore off, his feet shuffled closer, hesitant to reveal his work. Drawing? Can I sneak a peek? He hugged the sketch briefly, then tenderly handed it over. It's nothing amazing, I examined the rough drawing and realized he was sketching his surroundings. Half the tents were shaded in, while faint lines resembled other tents and trees. Why here? I had the urge to draw all day and my mind was full of ideas. When I finally got here, I blanked out like the paper and didn't know what to draw. I decided to sketch everything around me. Even so, it's really good. It's practically a photograph. I held the drawing in the air, pretending it was in the frame mounted on the wall to compare it to its real counterpart. Shoji fidgeted with the pencil, his eyes averted. Really? I mean it. I handed the book back. Are you seriously thinking of pursuing art in college? I'd like to, but it's hard to be financially secure career-wise. Not that I need a luxurious lifestyle and thing, but it'd be preferable if I didn't have to worry about bills or affording groceries. I thought maybe I could go into computer engineering instead and practice my art on the side. I'm currently thinking it over. I am in my first semester after all. Agreed. You barely started. I'm sure you'll figure out which path is to take after a semester or two. What about you? Did you go into college already knowing what you wanted? I thought I did. I wanted to get into sociology, although I wasn't sure exactly what. I love the idea of working in the community like a recreational worker, or in a foster care or something similar. Then I somehow meandered into digging up bones, lured away by anthropology courses and now archaeology. I don't regret it though, even if my parents don't understand it and badger me about it whether I'll find a stable job after I graduate. I'm better at living for the moment. I'll figure it out by my third year, I'm sure, I hope. But it's cool. I do have emergency backups job-wise. That's what resume building is for. I'm sure you'll end up picking what works for you, Soji. I hope so too. There was a holler from the other side of the site that was weirdly timed with my roommate. Shoji didn't need to translate that dinner was ready. Sweet, I'm starving. Thanks for letting me look at your sketchbook, Shoji. I adore your art. My stomach's growling in real life right now. Girl. It was no problem. I'm glad you weren't disappointed. I rarely show people my artwork. I wasn't sure how you'd react. If you draw something new, be sure to show me. Promise. Food, food, food. Study, girl. You need... Yay, good study. Good study, girl. Yay! She's finally catching up on her studies. Oh, good. Email. Failed. Dance? Oh, poor girl. Poor baby girl. Alright, I'm gonna save. Yes, I want to overwrite them. Thank you. Okay. Hey, Livrain. Thank you. I'm actually gonna quit. Hi, Boo Boo. I'm gonna quit now because I've been playing for 3 hours and I think we got a good start to the game. Right, Iris? Right, Iris? Oh, the boo-boos. Oh, the boo-boos. Excuse me. I'm gonna go make some food and probably take a bath. Get all this makeup off because I don't really feel like it looks that good. But it was kind of just for fun because we're in a no shits day. No shits day. It's 3 years anniversary of the breakup with my ex-husband. And dating games to realize how much life sucks. Alright, no, I'm just kidding. I'm okay. Right, because we're happy. We were happy it's over. Yes, because good things happened once it was over. Mom got a career now. Alright. I'll see you guys later. And we don't like Kyler still. I don't care what anybody says. I still think he's an asshole by nature, and I'm not into that. And if we want to ask, my favorites so far in order would be DeAndre is probably my favorite just because I like his personality. Kendrick is next because he's got a nice personality. Shoji is cute, but not in a I would date him kind of way. And then Kyler is just moody as fuck, as Justin just put it in the chat. And Joanne, though, she's adorable, and if she is my option for a girl, I'm taking it. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. Between her and DeAndre, they're up there in the running. Okay. Bye, guys. Oh, there's my stomach again.